Jeff Wilkins is going to kick off. Robert Tate and Mo Williams back deep for Minnesota. Wilkins. And it's going to be Tate at about the 6. Robert Tate to the 26. And let's look at the Minnesota offensive line. They are big and they've been together for a while. Stussy, McDaniel, Christie, Dixon, and Stringer. 2 Pro Bowlers. Randy Moss and Chris Carter, the wideouts. Pro Bowlers. Smith, Klein Saucer, and Andrew Glover, the tight end. And of course, Jeff George has taken over at quarterback. They're 9-2 since he took over. 1st and 10 at their own 27. A lot of noise.
And it's only 1st down.
To work is George to Carter. Near a 1st down. Let's have a look at the St. Louis Ram defense. The front 4, Wistrom, DeMarco Farr, Ray Agnew, and Kevin Carter. Smallish but quick. That also applies to the linebackers. Collins, London, Fletcher in the middle, and Mike Jones. And the secondary, McLean, Bush, Jenkins, and Todd Light headed for the Pro Bowl. 2nd and 1. Smith is deep. Kleinsaucer in front of him. Robert Smith. 1st down and more. Bounced off.
I really like London Fletcher. You know, he's a guy that we talk about attacking. He is going to attack. Now, that time he attacked the right side of the defense, and Robert Smith ran to the other side. But he got the penetration. He got in there. And I think Robert Smith either saw him or felt him, but he cut right off and away from him.
Robert Smith is very good at that. He proved that last week. 1st and 10, Minnesota. Smith again. Straight ahead. To about the 45.
You know, last week was the best inside running that I've ever seen Robert Smith do, and I think what it did is it really fired up that offensive line, because the offensive line likes to get up there and early, especially early in the game, like to take off on those defensive guys. You know, not have to pass protect and get back on their heels, but start off the game because you're all charged up anyway, and start off firing out and being aggressive.
Smith again is deep. 2nd and 7. Jeff George gives to Robert Smith, who broke 1 tackle and stumbled for about 3 yards. This really is physically as healthy as Robert Smith has been. He had bad knees. Those seem to be okay. He had a hernia operation. That seems to be healed. Well, look at Denny Green.
They went in there to have a hernia operation, and the doctor was the Tampa Bay Buccaneer doctor, and he found 2 hernias in there.
Leroy Horde. 4 wide receivers.
And the Rams
Minnesota
have 6 defensive backs.
Horde is the deep back. And Horde will have a 1st down. What a good call that is.
Yeah, that's what they wanted to be able to do. And Ray Sherman talked about that, to come out and run the ball and control it, calm this crowd down, to keep the Ram offense off the field. That time they go 4 wide receivers. And what that does is that put the Rams in 6 defensive backs, spread out that defense, and that gives Leroy Horde a pretty big running lane in there because everyone was playing pass defense.
1st and 10 at the Ram 45. Smith is back. George lofts it to Moss, who makes the catch and skips in bounds.
That's the old pick your poison thing. You know, do you want to stay in there and stop the run? Here's Todd Light. He's number 41. They think they want to be physical with Randy Moss. Everyone does. But once he gets by that physical, he's still got the jumps, he's still got the speed, and he still has the control of his body. Watch how he keeps both feet in bounds.
A marvelous athlete.
I tell you, he is something really, really special.
2 tight ends set up now. Robert Smith deep, and Smith gets the carry. Smith flashes inside the 15 to the Ram 11, 12-yard line.
And when Ray Sherman first came here as the offensive coordinator, he took a little abuse because they missed Brian Billick. But one thing Ray Sherman wanted to do is have balance. And we've seen him run, and we've seen him run the draw, and we've seen him run right, we've seen him run left, we've seen him throw the deep ball to Randy Moss. He is starting off this game. There's Ray Sherman right there, the offensive coordinator, with great balance. He's run the ball 5 times, passed it twice.
Running formation again with Kleinsasser in front of Smith. Smith gets the carry. This time he's hit just as he gets to the line of scrimmage by London Fletcher. Strength up the middle.
Here's London Fletcher here. You see, he's only 5'10", so he has to get back a little more than most linebackers. But when he sees a hole and he sees a run, he is really going to attack it. And when he attacks it, he gets there, and he's a very, very good tackler.
He slipped past Jeff Christie to make that stop. 5'10", you say?
Yeah, 5'10". And they used to list him as 6 foot.
Yeah.
And he got mad. He didn't want to be listed as 6 foot. He said, I'm 5'10". I'm proud of it. Write it down.
Here's George back to throw, looking to screen. Has to ground it. Robert Smith complaining that he might have been held.
This noise, this crowd noise, doesn't look like it's bothering Jeff George. But,
nope.
In Jeff George's helmet, it's a little different. He has 4 receivers in his helmet. And you can see here, there's no screen right there. In fact, the guy that he was going to throw it to, Robert Smith, was taken down by DeMarco Farr.
That's
Here's Jeff George's helmet. You can see there he has 2 receivers on that side and 2 receivers on that side. Most helmets have only 2 receivers in them. Jeff George has 4.
3rd down, Horde, the deep back. Look out for Randy Moss. Flag on the play as George fires out of the end zone. I think they took too much time.
Yeah, because the flag came out before that ball was snapped.
Prior to the snap, delay on the offense.
So maybe those 4 receivers in Jeff George's helmet didn't help him on that one.
4 receivers split out. 4 speakers or receivers in his helmet.
Yeah, and remember the last time they ran the 4 receivers, what that does is that puts the Rams in 6 defensive backs. They got them spread out, and then they ran the draw play to Leroy Horde.
Well, they got them spread out again.
And they have Leroy Horde back here again, too.
Right.
Rams only have 3 defensive linemen in there.
And they run the draw play to Horde. And he gets down to about the 12.
It's the same thing they did before. They want to play that 4 wide receivers with 3 defensive linemen so that they can play 2 linebackers in the middle. And you see the Reed pass here. They get the big guard on him, and then they just come here, and Carter comes from the backside and makes that tackle. Both of these defensive ends, Grant Wistrom and Kevin Carter, are very, very active.
So Gary Anderson comes on to try a 31-yard field goal, and he is right down the middle as he usually is. The NFC Divisional Playoff in St. Louis. Famous arch in St. Louis. The Vikings lead the Rams 3-0. Mitch Berger, who can root it, set to kick off, and Tony Horn is back deep.
Dick Vermeil was saying that Tony Horn is such a good return guy. Even if the ball is 5 yards deep in the end zone, they're going to try and return it.
That's going to be at the goal line. Return right, and Horn is tripped up as he crosses the 20, gets out to about the 23. We're back before a sellout crowd in St. Louis, 66,000 people. The Rams and the Vikings, and that's the home field advantage for the Rams this year when they play here in St. Louis. They trailed. They were behind for only 4 minutes and 29 seconds. So they got to go to work. Warner, the quarterback, fires up the middle. A pass is caught to Isaac. And he's gone.
Amazing. Dick Vermeil told us yesterday that was going to be the first play of the game.
Yep.
It was a play pass with a double post. See the players doing their celebration. That's called the bob and weave. What the thing this is, he has the two receivers in the slot here. They're both going to run a post. And whoever the safety comes off on, they throw it to the other guy. You see the post there, and then the post there. Both of them going to the inside. The guy that they came off on and left free was Isaac Bruce. And the first play, a touchdown.
The extra point is good by Wilkins. 7-3. The Rams over the Vikings. That's Foge Fazio talking with two of his defensive backs, Hitchcock and Griffith.
He's drawing up that pattern that they just ran on him. They went I formation, play pass, double post.
Did Robert Tate from the 5. Tate tripped up at the 25.
And here's what they did. You see I formation, play pass. They're going to get the tight end out here to clear out this area. Then they're going to get a post in here. That's a post pattern. And a post in here. And whoever he comes off on, then Kurt Warner was going to throw to the other one. He came off on Isaac Bruce, but he still threw it to Bruce. But watch the post coming from both sides. If we can stop it now, you can see that they're both open. Here's Isaac Bruce. That's the one that he decides to go to. And I'll tell you, speed kills. Because once Isaac Bruce got a step behind him, and Kurt Warner knew it, and Isaac Bruce went up, and he gave the ball to someone in the stands.
I'm glad he found his ankle
right there.
Braces.
Those ankle braces had some speed in them.
Robert Smith behind the line. Todd Collins. Just been informed that Jimmy Johnson has officially retired as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, and his #1 assistant, #1 friend, Dave Wanstead, has the job.
Yeah, well, I think that was something that we could see coming. I felt all along that this was going to be Jimmy Johnson's last year, and then that was kind of set up when Jimmy did leave or retire. Dave Wanstead would get the job.
Here comes the blitz, and there's the pass caught and knocked loose and gotten back by Chris Carter.
Hey, what a throw by Jeff George. If Devin Bush, #23, the safety, is there, Dexter McLean, he's going to get it right between them. See McLean come up and get physical on Chris Carter. He's a tough guy to get physical on because he is so physical. He gets right by McLean. Now here's the thing that the Rams feel they had to do. They had to put pressure on Jeff George so that he can't do that, so that he can't have what they call clear space. That time Jeff George had clear space to throw the ball.
And Carter caught it, fumbled it, and got it back. Here comes the blitz. Picked up by one, but not both of them. Billy Jenkins on the delayed blitz.
Billy Jenkins is the guy that got there. The first guy there was London Fletcher. He gets blocked here by Robert Smith. You're going to see Fletcher's coming here, and then we're going to see Jenkins is coming right in behind him. They get Fletcher, and as you said, they didn't get Jenkins. But they got Fletcher pretty good. Watch him. Robert Smith is going to get him, and then Jenkins comes right in behind him. Jeff George turns, and he's right in his ear hole.
Second and 23.
That was a well-designed blitz.
Wasn't it?
Have one guy follow another guy in the same hole.
George back to throw it. Screen pass. Robert Smith. Knocked out of bounds. Just outside the 40. About 8 yards short of the first down.
I wonder if Jeff George still has all 4 of those speakers in his helmet.
After that hit.
Yeah, and Billy Jenkins came there, and and Jeff George, I think he saw London Fletcher, who was the first blitzer, but I don't think he saw or felt Jenkins until he hit him in the head.
Well, he was running a play pass fake.
And he was looking the other way, and then when he turned back, there was Billy Jenkins.
Ram defense, like the rest of the team, is very quick.
And this crowd is a part of them.
George out of the shotgun, fires deep. Overshoots Randy Moss, who had a step.
Yeah, they aren't doing a lot of double coverage to Randy Moss, and I think that there's going to be a point where that they're going to keep that up. Now what the Rams are trying to do is mix their coverages, and in doing so, both Randy Moss and Chris Carter will at times draw single coverage.
The punt returner is Hakeem. The punter is Berger. Berger with a very strong leg, and the returner with a lot of speed.
And Oz Hakeem is a very, very exciting returner.
Yes, he is. Line drive kick. This one can be returned. Not much room. Those Budweiser Clydesdales are beautiful animals, aren't they?
They're like offensive linemen.
Yep.
I've always said a big old Clydesdale like a big old offensive lineman. That Minnesota 15 plays, Rams won.
Here's Warner. Bruce again. Hitchcock made the stop.
I'll tell you, those ankle braces that take 95 miles an hour to bring to Bruce sure are working.
I'm going to get me some of those. There's the offensive line for the Rams. Pace, Newton, Grudadaria, Timmerman, and Miller. The backs of receivers, Hope, Falk, Holcomb, Williams, and Isaac Bruce, who's handled the ball twice, as has the quarterback Kurt Warner, the NFL's MVP this year.
I think Isaac Bruce was a little tired of hearing everything about Randy Moss and Chris Carter.
Warner on the outside, complete, right on the sideline. Good throw to Torrey Holt. Let's look at the Minnesota defense. A bewildered defense at the moment. Dolman, Randall, Ball, and Clemens up front. The three linebackers all very quick. Rudd, McDaniel, and Kylie Wong. And the secondary, Hitchcock, Bass, Griffith, and Wright. They're shell-shocked at the moment, I'm sure, that secondary.
Well, and they're just worried about getting beat deep. I mean, you can see that they're keeping their safeties deep now so that no one gets in behind them anymore.
Reverse to Hakeem. These guys can fly.
That's the thing. I think, early when you heard about the Rams and they started off to a good start, you wanted to see them. I remember the first time I saw the Rams, the thing that I said is these guys have great, not good, but great team speed. And what a job Dick Vermeil's done. I mean,
really
he's coach of the year. We congratulate him for that. But he had beliefs. He came back from being out of coaching for 14 years, put together a staff and a team that is tops.
Trying to run the screen pass, and they do to Marshall Faulk. Faulk to the 20. Faulk at the 10. He's going to score.
Woo! Bob and weave.
And that's exactly what Marshall Faulk did the first time he has touched the ball.
And they do this so well. You see, they start with a play fake, and then Marshall Faulk comes back to the other side, a screen pass. And watch how quickly, after he catches that ball, he just explodes. And, I mean, there's missed tackles, but Marshall Faulk makes you miss tackles.
He just steps out of your hands and arms. Well, the Vikings need to find an answer pretty quickly.
Well, it's the speed. It's the speed we were talking about. That the Rams have 155 yards receiving, but 109 of it are run after the catch. I mean, that's the thing, is they can get open, they can catch the ball, and then after they catch it, they can do a heck of a lot with it. That was just a little screen pass that he took all the way.
Wilkins kicks it 2 yards deep in the end zone to Robert Tate. He doesn't make it back to the 15. Let's go down to Ron Pitts on the sideline.
Pat, we're talking to some of the Rams players and coaches before the game. They said we're two things. We're young, we're confident. Because we're young, we haven't been beaten yet. We don't know about that fear. They said the Minnesota Vikings were good last year. All we know is that we're good this year. So far, they're proving it. Pat, back up to you.
Boy, I'll tell you what, Ron. They have proven it. Marshall Faulk has proven it for a long time.
Yeah, Marshall Faulk could have been the best deal in the history of the NFL. They got him from the Indianapolis Colts for a 2nd and 5th round draft choice. Just think of how many teams would love to give more than that right now for Marshall Faulk.
All you got to do is get him the ball. And he's going to find out where the trouble's coming from, and he's going to beat it. Here comes the blitz again. George is down. They got him on the ropes.
Yep, and that blitz again was London Fletcher. He's that guy. He's only 5'10", but I'll tell you, he is explosive. You watch him here when he takes off. I mean, he's like he's shot out of a cannon. I mean, he comes, he steps up. He wants to time that so that he hits that hole right when the ball snaps. Now, Jeff George, that was a phantom sack.
Yeah.
Because London Fletcher doesn't touch Jeff George. Jeff George felt London Fletcher coming, and boom, he went down.
Kevin Carter was coming as well. Second.
The old phantom sack.
At 17. George drops to throw it. In the end zone. Incomplete. Denny Green looking on. At the end of the quarter, we're going to go back to the studio and pick up the excerpts, or some excerpts, from Jimmy Johnson's press conference when he stepped down as the head of the Dolphins. 3rd and 17 here in St. Louis. Jeff George out of the shotgun, and it's getting loud for the Vikings now.
And this is where the Vikings cannot afford a turnover.
George. Moss. Got a first down.
Jeff George was pretty good there. I mean, he had to throw that thing out of the end zone, and when he throws it, I mean, he probably gets rid of it quicker than any quarterback and has more velocity on it. But watch this thing come out here. Here's Randy Moss. He's just going to run right up here, and he's just going to stop. And I'll tell you, Jeff George saw that and just threw him a bullet, and then he was able to make a first down.
2 tight end setup for Minnesota. Smith into the secondary, gets good yardage. About 7.
Now the Vikings have some field position here, and I think they probably want to, just knowing their plan, is they just want to keep running the ball, you know, keep the defensive line, keep the defense out there, keep this explosive offense off the field, and kind of calm the crowd down and kind of calm this Ram team
right now
down.
That seems to be the key. Keep that Ram offense off the field. That's Leroy Horde. He won't get a first. About a yard short.
I like these safeties of the Rams. You know, they're not out there. Remember, like Dallas did last week, they were so deep. Billy Jenkins, watch Billy Jenkins. He's up here and he's ready to read that run, and he's up there taking the cutback hole. You see, they slant one side, Horde goes to cutback, and the strong safety, Billy Jenkins, is right up in that hole for the cutback.
3rd and a yard.
Remember Dallas last week, their safeties were so deep that they gave them all those gaps from the backside.
Horde moves to stack enough to get the first down, as only he can do.
The ball carrier.
Behind Klein Saucer.
Tackled by 59, London Fletcher.
You know, London Fletcher's in on most of these tackles. There was a big double team right up there. I think they got DeMarco Farr and just bent him over.
Well, that Viking offensive line is so big.
Just watch what they do right here. You see, here it is right here. They just get, as Jeff Christie, I mean, he just got that double team and got on his guy and just got him bending backwards.
3 wide receivers as George retreats and is sacked by Carter around the corner. Kevin Carter headed for the Pro Bowl, showed you why.
And that's one of the matchups that the Rams like. He's on Corey Stringer, and you're going to see him come from right here. He's over here, and you see he just runs right by Stringer. You see, that's what they thought. If they could get Stringer without a tight end on his side, that Kevin Carter could beat him on a speed rush.
14-3. The St. Louis Rams leading second and 16.
They got the same thing again right there, and I bet Kevin Carter again tries a speed rush.
Stringer cut him. Pass to Carter. And Carter gets the first down.
And that wasn't bad by Corey Stringer,
No,
was
it
it either?
wasn't.
Because Kevin Carter just had everything going, and he was going to get another one of those things, and Stringer just went boom and just went right down and took his knees, and that was the side that Jeff George threw the ball to Chris Carter.
In of 17, Minnesota.
And Chris Carter,
From their own 40.
as intelligent a player as ever played the game, I think. Just as competitive.
And probably, when you talk about wide receivers, the most physical.
Yep.
Look at this first quarter here. Minnesota minus 25. St. Louis plus 74. That's kind of holding true, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The person they need to reach.
All right, JB, you know, Howie said something there that hasn't always been a factor, and that is cap friendly. You never had to deal with that, did you?
No, that's why I would never go back. Well, I'm not going back into coaching anyway. What the heck? I'm sorry. But that would be, if I did go back in, that would be the toughest thing that you would have to deal with. And I think that could have been part of the thing that got Jimmy, too. There's just too many things to deal with, and he didn't want to do it anymore.
Absolutely. Here's George. Protection's good. Throws it out to Smith, and he gets the line of scrimmage, and that's about all. Mike Jones makes a good open field tackle and takes him down.
Now here's where it all starts, is right here in the middle, because the Rams are talking about they want to get pressure right up the middle on Jeff George so that he couldn't step up. And then, of course, the Vikings know that Jeff George is a pocket passing quarterback, so they have to have a strong middle. And that time, Randall McDaniel, Jeff Christie, and David Dixon just did that. They gave him a clean and clear middle.
If they're going to get pressure up the middle, I think they're going to have to bring London Fletcher.
Well, that's the way they've got it, Fletcher and Jenkins.
George, high ball, slipped out of his hand, way short.
What did he throw, a high ball?
Yeah. That one went over the backstop.
You know, at this pace, I was just looking in the first quarter, Minnesota had 113 yards of offense. St. Louis had 159. And if we keep going at that pace, this will be over 1,000 yards. Watch the release here. I mean, he just throws that kind of like out the side of a silo.
Well,
I mean, it wasn't tipped or anything, and just came out sideways and up, and really kind of ugly. Now here's a blitzing situation.
a lot of silos in this part of the country. Here's the rush on George, and down he goes. Charlie Clemens, an extra linebacker, comes in and gets there in a hurry.
Yep. As you say, he comes from this side here. He's going to come right here. They show him the blitz. Here's Clemens here. He goes right by David Dixon and then right by Robert Smith. And he just gives it to Jeff George. But they had two chances to get him. First it was David Dixon, the guard, and then the second one was Robert Smith. That almost knocked Jeff George's head off.
You know, that again is speed. Clemens just blew by him.
Yeah, but the Rams do. I mean, they have speed in every area. Offense, defense, special teams. Right here, they have speed.
Hakeem.
There it is.
Look out. Look out. Oh. There was one tackle, a flag on the play. One man hit him, or he was gone again. Antonio Banks.
It looked like Antonio Banks was being blocked, and Oz Hakeem just ran right into him. Watch, he's down right there. Hakeem hasn't touched the ground yet.
No.
And then they finally get him stopped there. I mean, that was just a basic flip.
Dre Bly, I think the flag is against him. Maybe not. He's the man who caught him, and there is a penalty.
I don't know what
for
the
aiding a
penalty
runner
is.
like that. That's what it is.
Well, they're probably thinking that
There is no penalty,
No
on
penalty.
the play. There was no aiding of the runner.
No aiding of the
First
runner.
down.
and you get to pick the team. I would pick this Ram. I think this Ram offense, they're a lot of fun, aren't they?
You better pick in a hurry. Here's Warner.
Fault first.
Warner going deep. Intercepted by Hitchcock. And he's down because of contact, but the Vikings have the ball.
Jimmy Hitchcock is a guy that you think that you can get stuff on. Here's Jimmy Hitchcock here. He starts up like he's playing tight coverage, then he bails out, then he'll go for that double move, but he just took a step on it.
The Elephant thought he wanted some Ram colors, but he spit them back.
Elephants are a lot like Clydesdales. They're a lot like offensive linemen.
How's that?
Look at this, what Jeff George, the pressure he's been under, Pat. He's been sacked 4 times, and 3 of those have been blitzes. Hurried 5 times, knocked down 4 times, and that's what the Ram defense wanted to do. They felt that the #1 thing they had to do was get to Jeff George so that he couldn't get to his big play guys.
Smith gets a Viking first down. Stopped by Todd Light.
We talked about the hits on Jeff George. We'll see him here, and they're not only defensive linemen. I mean, he got hit by linebackers twice. He got hit by a safety, and every way that you can get, he's gotten it. And that one there, I mean, that one there has to take something out of you.
Well, you never know it by Jeff George's demeanor. He looks just as casual as he always does.
Maybe he's had some of that knocked into him.
Maybe so. He drops the throw. Moss. Here's pushed out of bounds. Yeah, that's the catch.
Dexter McClean is saying that he pushed off, and he probably did, but there's so much of that in the NFL now. Once you get downfield, watch Randy Moss here, and there's going to be a point right here where he pushes. See that right hand there?
Yep.
He pushed, he got it right on Dexter McClean's hip, and just gave him a little push, then went up and got the ball. You see the push there, and that push gives him a separation, and then he has the jump.
I wonder who else is going to make that catch.
One guy cannot cover that.
No.
You can't be much better than McClean was.
Ooh, this one was almost a disaster.
And that's Dexter McClean. He saw that one.
Yeah, and
he was back off, and look at him the way he's looking. He's looking in at the quarterback. You see, so he's looking in there, and he sees that, and he starts to run. The minute Jeff George turns to that side, he starts to run, and he almost got that thing.
They rolled up some help behind him.
I know, but look at Jeff George look here. And Dexter McClean is seeing what Jeff George is looking at.
That was more on the board for the Rams. They tried to run a draw play, and the Rams had it diagnosed perfectly, led by Wistrom.
Grant Wistrom is a defensive end. You're going to see him right here. And he's not the biggest guy, but he's very, very quick. And he's not afraid to take an inside move. And that's what he did to Todd Stussy. And I think that any defensive end, to be a good pass rusher in this league or a good penetrator, has to be willing to take the inside hard on a tackle.
3 wide.
Stay outside all day, you can't play.
3 wide outs for Minnesota. Jake Reed to the left. And here's George, and here comes the blitz again, and it's for Jake Reed. Reed's got it. Jake Reed to the Ram 20. That's what the Vikings can do to you.
That's the thing, and you know what happens? There's a blitz. So with the blitz goes a man-on-man coverage, and with man-on-man coverage, you get a big play like this, and that's what they're doing. Dre Bly is the guy that they're going after. Now watch, you say, why is he man-on-man coverage? Because you get the blitz. Now when you bring 3 like this, the only thing you can do, you can't zone it, you can't give the guy any help, and then Jeff George is looking for Reed all the way.
The handoff is to Smith, and he's going nowhere. Ray Agnew was the first in blue to grab Robert Smith.
Yeah, Ray Agnew really plays the run well. Here he is right here, and he's a very strong run player and a very unselfish player. Grant Wistrom was saying yesterday that Ray Agnew is the hardest working player that he has ever been around.
He got off a double team very quickly that time.
I think that, you know, every guy on that Ram defense has great respect for Ray Agnew.
2nd and 10. George fakes, throw. Touchdown, Carter.
Well, we talked about offensive weapons. We have them here today. And if you don't have great defense, then you better get in a shootout. And that's what the Vikings are doing, and that's what the Rams are thinking. And it all started with the turnover.
Yep.
The interception by Jimmy Hitchcock. Here's Chris Carter. You're going to see him on Todd Light. You see Light started up like he was going to play him tight. Then he dropped off. He has a double coverage here. Jenkins had him on the inside. Light had him on the outside. And he ran right by Billy Jenkins.
Chris Carter never looks like he's running very hard, but all of a sudden he's by you and behind you.
But here's Todd Light. Here's Billy Jenkins here. They're doubling Chris Carter. He just runs right by. He just splits him. Light has him on the outside. Jenkins has him on the inside. He just splits him and runs right by him. Now you think double coverage inside out. There's no way they can do it. Chris Carter just runs right through him, right by him, and Jeff George hits him perfectly.
He just glides through you.
That's the thing that drives a coach crazy. You got the guy doubled. You're waiting for that play. And then the guy still beats you.
Here's Tony Horn. And there he goes. Out to about the 38. Berger finally knocked him down.
Well, you know, here's one right here. I don't have a kicker yet. Look at that old Mitch Berger going down there and made the tackle on that. I got to take a look at him.
I thought I was the kicker forever.
Well, you are. I mean, you're the kicker emeritus, we call it.
Marshall Faulk, the ball carrier, gets about 3.
You know, until that play right there, they hadn't gotten back to Marshall Faulk. They kind of forgot about him. He only had one touch so far. That was that screen pass that he ran for a touchdown. And I'm sure they were looking over there and saying, well, let's get it to Marshall. Although they haven't had a lot of plays. They've only had 6 plays.
Foge is active today. Fazio, the defensive coordinator of Minnesota.
Rams have 3 wide receivers here, and the Vikings are playing nickel defense.
Warner, the shuttle pass, smothered to Marshall Faulk by Tony Williams.
You know, they have 3 types of plays that the Rams use on offense to slow down a pass rush, and this is one of them, the shovel pass, where you start out here and just kind of throw it underneath. And then the other one is a draw, and the other one is a screen. But you see, defensive linemen see these things so well now that when they see a guy coming close to the line of scrimmage, like Marshall Faulk, they all grab him, and they don't let him have those clean releases.
3rd and 8. And flags on the play.
It's always the guy that hits himself in the head. If you look, when a guy jumps, if you see a guy, and then the guy that hits himself in the head is always the guy that jumped, and that's Tony Williams, because he was the guy that hit himself in the head.
Prior to the snap, encroachment, 93, defense, 5 yards, still 3rd down.
He knew he encroached.
Now watch him here. You see him encroach. Now watch his next move right here. Doink. Always do it. I mean, that's the sign of guilt. When you jump and they call it encroach, and then you hit both ear holes.
And one of these days we're going to find out what encroach means.
Encroach means just jumping in the neutral zone. But at one time they used to call it offside. I think if you line up there, it's offsides, and if you jump in it, it's encroach.
Here's Warner back to throw. And gets it out and dropped to Hakeem.
You know, that's one thing about the Rams. I watched a lot of film on them. And one thing about Hakeem, too, is they will drop passes. I mean, they have speed. They have explosiveness. They have a lot of guys, a lot of ways they can hurt you. But they also do drop passes. And that's one of the problems that Hakeem has had. And you wonder here, I mean, he just looked that right through his hands.
Yeah, right through.
Sometimes you get your hands too close to your body.
Randy Moss back deep for Minnesota, and this is Mike Horan. He's been with 6 different teams. And that's a good kick.
He's a great directional kicker.
Moss up the sideline and steps out at about the 23.
If the Rams win, Tampa Bay comes here. If Minnesota wins, Minnesota goes to Tampa Bay.
Wherever it is, we'll go there. And Robert Smith
Yeah, it's interesting though. Tony Dungy and his staff are down there watching this game, and in their game yesterday against Washington, I was just looking, they had 343 yards of total offense. So far in this game, we've had 360 yards.
Well, the Buccaneers like those kind of games.
Well, the Buccaneers know the Minnesota Vikings. Of course, they split with them this year, and they play twice every year. Denny Green coached with Tony Dungy. I mean, so they know each other very well, but they don't know the Rams.
They don't know that speed.
Well, they're seeing it today.
Yeah. Smith thrown for a loss. Grant Wistrom.
Yeah, I really like Grant Wistrom. I think that Kevin Carter, he gets talked about at the left end, and DeMarco Farr in the middle, and London Fletcher some. But one guy that doesn't get much mention, he's only a second-year player, but this guy has a motor. He's a defensive end. It reminds me a lot. Remember the old Ram Fred Dreyer?
Sure.
That has a motor like a defensive back in the body of a defensive lineman.
And he was an academic All-American in college, as was Carter.
Yeah, smart guys can play well too.
George. Pass is intercepted by Dexter McCleon. George looking for Moss.
Dexter McCleon had good position on that one. We're going to see him right here. He's been playing very physical with Moss.
Yeah.
Now he knows that he has help deep. You see the safety over the top of him?
Yep.
So that if you have help over the top, then you can play aggressively underneath. And that's exactly what Dexter McCleon did. He had the safety over there so he can stay underneath and use what we call a trail technique. And see, Jeff George tries to force it in, but Dexter McCleon wasn't above him. He was in between Jeff George and Randy Moss.
So the Rams take over at the Viking 45, leading by 4. Marshall Faulk fumbles, and the Vikings get it back. The ball bounced away from Faulk and into the hands of Robert Griffith. You talk about a playmaker, Griffith.
Yep, he is a playmaker. In fact, he and Marshall Faulk went to college together at San Diego State. Marshall Faulk didn't get hit. He just never got the handle on it. And that ball comes out there. Robert Griffith sees it, and it's about 5 yards away from the fumble point.
Turnovers will do you in.
And that's about the only thing that I can see that can do in this Ram offense is turnovers. I don't know that the Minnesota Vikings can stop them if they don't stop themselves.
Minnesota ball at their own 47. And casually they break the huddle. First and 10 on the 48, make it.
They give a turnover, they get a turnover.
Right. Here's George on first down, firing in the middle. Knocked away from Chris Carter. That's Todd Light with Carter.
That was good coverage because Todd Light had a man-to-man, because here's Todd Light, here's Chris Carter, and we're talking about another blitz, you see. So Todd Light has him, and he just starts in, lets him get underneath him, and just gets that left hand in and knocks it off.
That's an excellent play.
I'll tell you, the Rams are playing Chris Carter and Randy Moss a lot more single coverage or one-on-one than I've seen anyone play the.
Here comes the blitz again, and they give this to Robert Smith, and Smith breaks tackles, gets about 9 yards. It's going to be 3rd and short.
Yeah, that's the thing for a running back is what he does after he gets through the first level. You know, a running back can always get through that first hole. He has to have vision to get through the hole. Now you have to win the battle right here, that next confrontation. That's the one that you have to win in order to have a big run. I mean, you have 1 to find the hole, 2 to beat a confrontation.
3rd and 3, call it. Moss comes wide left with Carter in the slot.
The Vikings have 3 wide receivers. Jake Reed's in there.
And to Jake Reed, first down Minnesota. Let's go down to D.J. Johnson.
What a difference a series makes. A couple of minutes ago, everyone was yelling at each other, going back and forth, almost blaming each other. Chris Carter stood up, said, shut up, relax, relax. That was his key to everyone. Now John Randall's walking up and down the sidelines, patting each other on the back. They have relaxed, they've calmed down. Everyone here now is for each other, no yelling at each other. Back to you, Pat.
All right, DJ, that's what Chris Carter does.
In other words, turnovers also are a great deal.
Yeah, they are.
The smell goes off the turnovers when you get one.
Smith, not much.
Yeah, but he's still finishing off his runs. I mean, you know, I think since he's had those hernias operated on, he's become a lot tougher runner. You know, we've watched Robert Smith for years, and he has good speed and, you know, and good vision and those things, but he would usually start inside and always look for the bounce out.
Look at the time of possession, John.
Well, that's the thing, that the Rams strike quickly and the Vikings are going in that run mode, and that's what they both told us yesterday they were going to do.
Smith has 15 carries already. Here's George. Moss to the 15, 10. Moss dragged down at the Rams 6.
And we talk about the speed of the Rams. We're probably, well, not probably, heck, the fastest guy on the field is this guy right here.
Yes, sir.
And you just watch him here. And last year, remember, they used to always throw him outside stuff, and they say that he would never go inside. It looks like the Rams are still playing him that way, that he won't go inside. And that's the way that they can break him. If they're going to take away your outside stuff and your deep stuff, you run that slant or you're in. That's the same thing they did last week to the Cowboys with Randy Moss.
First and goal at the 6. Smith is still the running back. And the handoff is to Smith, who's inside the 5 to the 4. Usually this is Leroy Horde time, but as you said, Robert Smith is running a lot stronger.
Yeah, and he's keeping the ball inside, and you just said it right there. It usually is Horde time, and here comes Leroy Horde now. You know, you give him a little dose of Robert Smith, and then you give him a dose of Leroy Horde. Horde not as fast, but the more powerful runner. And you get big Kleinsaucer in front of him. Jim Kleinsaucer, he weighs 272 pounds. That's a pretty powerful group coming at you.
Moss in motion. There's Leroy Horde. Touchdown.
Yep, and it was that powerful group. Leroy Horde, his power, got right in behind the rookie fullback, Jim Kleinsaucer. Well, I was just saying, I mean, you talk about a load. Horde being kind of a load. There's Red McCombs there celebrating, but Jim Kleinsaucer weighs 275 pounds, and he's the lead blocker right there. See, he gets that hit right there, and that creates the hole for Leroy Horde.
Kleinsaucer just knocked the Ram linebacker, Mike Jones, knocked him backwards and out of the way, and here's Leroy Horde checking things out.
He's checking it out, and he's finding where number 40 is, and he just follows him in there and knows that once he gets by there, the next thing that he sees is goal line.
And the Vikings capture the lead.
Here's what we're talking about right here. Here's the lead. You just follow that lead right in there. You get the block right there. You wait a little while. You see how Horde waited just a split second to let Kleinsaucer get that block, and then he stutter stepped it in.
He's had a bad shoulder, but
well, Jim Kleinsaucer out of North Dakota.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will talk live with Warren Sapp of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also a report on Jimmy Johnson's retirement, along with the first half analysis. Plus our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. All coming up on the Visa halftime report. So don't go away. It'll be a busy halftime.
Well, I wonder if they'll talk about that shocker that Jacksonville hung on Jimmy Johnson yesterday. I know, you know, you can say that. I mean, that had to be an embarrassing loss, and those all losses are tough. But when you get beat in the playoffs, the finality of it, because you don't have another game,
and the humiliation,
and then Jimmy Johnson never going to coach again, and has to live with that one as his last one. That's tough. None of them are easy, as I say, but that has to really be tough.
Berger, Tony Horn, out to the 30.
82-20.
Denny Green says we're great counter punchers.
Yeah, but you don't like those other guys to punch you too much before you get your counter in, and it looked like that could have happened to him today, but it
could
didn't.
have. It could have. The Vikings up by 3. Warner. Flag on the play.
Yeah, that has to be holding on Fred Miller.
Carter's pass is incomplete.
Dwayne Clemens was rushing against him, and he just grabbed him.
Holding.
And it had to be. It's the right tackle, number 73.
Walt Coleman again is the referee.
Holding, 73. Offense, 10 yards. Still first down.
Yeah, watch Fred Miller here, and you'll just see him. So he starts to block right there, then grab.
Yep, got him by the face mask.
Yeah, and you can see that all the way. Now, you know, we haven't heard much from John Randall, and what they wanted from him was they wanted that right there. You know, to get in Kurt Warner's face, to get that pressure up the middle, and that time he got it with a spin move.
In the last 2 weeks, John, the Vikings have won the second quarter 28-0. Paul goes in motion. Back to throw his Warner. Underneath it comes to Bruce. To Holt, I beg your pardon. Torrey Holt knocked out of bounds.
Torrey Holt was the Rams' #1 draft choice, and you can just see how well he fits in there. I mean, you got Marshall Faulk coming out of the backfield. You look at this formation here. You see they have 3 wide receivers. Marshall Faulk goes in motion, so you have no one in the backfield, the old empty backfield. Torrey Holt comes across the field. I mean, every time I watch the Ram film, Pat, it seems like there was always at least 1 or 2 guys wide open all the time, just like that.
4 wide receivers. Warner has time. Near a first down to Hakeem. Past the marker. It is a first down. 2-minute warning now.
Pat, you can always, no, I was just going to say, you can always tell who the offensive line coach is. He's the guy that sticks the game plan in the back of his pants. That's Mike Tice there. And you can see that's how they break down a game plan. You break it down into down and distance and situations. And if you're the old line coach, all you're worrying about is your guys blocking theirs.
There are a lot of line coaches that couldn't do that. There's not enough room.
Well, Mike Tice was a tight end.
Yeah. Warner fires down to Isaac Bruce. And the clock continues to run. 1:44. The Vikings hustle back, and the Rams do everything in a hurry.
Well, and of course they're going without a huddle here, and you know that they have guys wide open because of their speed.
Yeah. The ball is hit and not deflected by John Randall as he went by.
Gotcha. Watch John Randall here. He's coming with that rip underneath, and as you said, as he goes by Kurt Warner, he just sticks his right hand out and just deflected his arm. Watch it. He comes by and sticks his right arm out, and he hits Kurt Warner right on the wrist.
That could hurt the old arm.
Well, what it hurts is his shoulder.
Yeah.
There's Kurt Warner's wife, Brenda. It's her reaction there. She was looking for that thing to come out and get another completion. Rams have 4 wide receivers in
We are
there.
reviewing the ruling on the field.
Oh, they're looking to see if that is a fumble or not.
Yes.
What they're saying is or what they're going to review, and again, because it's in the last 2 minutes, this challenge comes from upstairs.
This could be a fumble
from the coaches
because his arm wasn't coming forward.
Well, then if his arm isn't going forward, then it is a fumble.
I didn't stay with it long enough to see who recovered it.
I thought that the ball went out like a pass, though. I thought
I
mean, it wasn't like a fumble. Watch how far it goes forward here. You see, I mean, he comes out and the ball's hit there. Now his hand was, I don't know. I think his hand was going forward because it was going forward, until John Randall hit it and stopped it. See, watch now. Is it going forward with the ball in it? The hand is going forward with the ball in it. To me,
let's see who recovers it.
I think the Rams did anyway. So
After
it's just going to be a
reviewing the
spot.
play, the ruling on the field stands. Incomplete pass. Second down.
Yeah, I think that was a good call. I mean, I just felt that John Randall hit his hand as he threw it, and instead of being a fumble, he just took everything off the ball. And anyway, the Rams did recover.
Yeah.
So had they switched it, it just would have been a spot thing where they would have done it rather than a fumble recovery.
Different looking formation this time for the Rams, and here's the screen pass coming to Falk, and it is well played this time by Jimmy Hitchcock. That's a great play by Hitchcock.
I think that the Vikings, you know, when they said the number one guy we have to stop is Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk is right here running the screen pass, so they have everyone looking when they see this screen. Jimmy Hitchcock is the corner who saw it. He sees the lineman come out in front. He sees Marshall Faulk come out, and then he knows that he can sneak right in outside those blockers and get that tackle.
We have a timeout, Rams. The St. Louis Rams have used their first timeout.
And they're not in field goal range here. They need about 10 more yards to get in field goal range. So they could get a completion, not get a first down, but get in field goal range.
Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will talk live with Warren Sapp of the victorious Tampa Bay Buccaneers, victorious over the Redskins yesterday. Also a report on Jimmy Johnson's retirement, along with first half analysis, plus our Fox Sports ticker. We'll have up to the second stats. So that's all coming up on the Visa halftime reports. 3rd and 13, nobody in the backfield.
3 on this side, 2 in the other.
The rush takes down Kurt Warner. John Randall was there first again.
Well, John Randall is starting to come on in this second quarter, and he's the guy that when we talked to Coach Fazio, he said that he had to have pressure up the middle. He had to have a big day from John Randall. Here John Randall comes on a stunt, and you see he gets him right there.
Now this is a Viking timeout.
Well, and they should take a timeout because they're going to get the ball back, and you know, they hope they can get some field position here. The Vikings have 2 timeouts. The clock is stopped now, and then it will also stop at change of possession.
All right.
And then in addition to that, the Vikings will have 2 timeouts. And with Jeff George and the way he can throw it, and with Chris Carter, Randy Moss, Jake Reed, this half isn't over.
1 minute and 3 seconds doesn't seem like it, but that's certainly adequate time for Jeff George.
For that
and this
group,
guy.
Yeah, with the timeouts that they have. One thing, Mike Horan is a old wily veteran, and he's not going to give Randy Moss anything good to return here.
How come all veterans are wily?
But and old. I mean, you always put old and wily, like catapult over an abyss.
Yeah. Randy Moss to about the 22 to 23. Let me ask you a question. If you had Randy Moss, and as effective as he is catching the ball and all of his weaponry that he brings to the dance, would you let him return punts?
No, I wouldn't, because I don't think he's a great punt returner. I think he's too long-legged, and they don't have him returning kickoffs for that reason. And I would find another punt returner, and I would let Randy Moss just be a receiver.
I agree with you. If that helps your feelings any.
Well, because that's where they can take shots at him. I mean, that's where you kind of get a free shot. A whole bunch of wild guys running down at him.
1st and 10 at their own 23, and Smith gets the carry and gets about 8 yards.
The Vikings can do that. You say, why are they running? But they should use their timeouts now. I mean, they use the timeout to get the ball back. Now, why waste your timeout? They still have 2 timeouts, and I'm surprised.
Me too.
I'm surprised they don't take one here. I don't know what they're doing, because they took one after they got the sack on the Rams, And then maybe it's field position that they just elected to do this. If they get a first down here, I know they'll take a timeout.
They let the clock run down to 15 seconds and less. And George drops the throw.
I don't understand this.
I don't either. Flag on the play.
I mean, this game was such a well-played game, you know, until this point, and now it's kind of flopping. It kind of went into a splat.
30-second timeout.
Timeout, St. Louis.
Well, what Dick Vermeil's saying was, if they're not going to take a timeout, we'll take a timeout and see if we can make a play. I think part of that was, a defensive timeout because they didn't have the right personnel in there.
Minnesota 17, St. Louis 14.
Because if the Vikings can get a first down here, I mean, I would say that they'll make a play here to get a first down. Then I think they should take a couple shots to try and at least get in field goal position. Because again, we've been saying this before, but they still have 2 timeouts.
Well, they've still got Randy Moss, who can jump higher than anybody. Ray Sherman, who calls the plays for the Vikings, talking with Denny Green. Look, Denny's got the plays, the game plan in the back of his pants too. Well, that's not Denny. I'm sorry.
They're just going to run the clock out here and take a kneel down. Yeah, and happy the way they played in this situation to go off the field with a 17-14 lead.
It doesn't seem like they should be ahead, but they are. Vikings lead 17-14. But John, the way the Rams started out, it looked like they were going to blow everybody right out of the stadium.
Well, it was kind of a story of 2 quarters. I mean, the Rams came out and they were just going up and down the field. All their speed was showing, and then the Vikings got under control. And then in the second quarter, they won the second quarter and took it back. I think at some point here, the Rams are going to have to get to Marshall Faulk, because if you look, he's only carried the ball 1 time, and they haven't had the ball a lot, you know, especially in that second quarter, and that's what the Vikings did. They took the ball, they had control, and I think the Rams, you know, to get back into this thing, they got all these explosive guys, and Marshall Faulk is one of the most explosive. I think they have to get him more involved.
Plus, the Rams turned it over twice. And that's a big thing.
And that's a big thing because, you know, you look at the Minnesota Viking defense, and they're 30th in the league against the pass, and you know that they're vulnerable there, and really the only way that they can really stop this team is if they stop themselves. Although at the end of the half, John Randall was getting a lot more pressure on Kurt Warner.
Well, they started to do a few things different with John Randall. Gave him a little bit more freedom. Here's Berger to kick it off.
Well, I think they realized that the Rams were darn near one-dimensional in passing most of the time.
Holds at the 6. Got a good wedge in front of him. And he gets around the corner, and he could be off. He could be off and gone, and he is Tony Horn. That speed is something else.
And we talked about it, Pat, that they have it in every area. They have it on offense. They have it on defense. They have it on the punt return. And then we see Tony Horn here in a kickoff return. He starts to the middle. His wedge goes to the left. Gets a good block by his wedge right there. That's the block that sprung him. And then his speed took over right up the sideline. That was the thing that Dick Vermeil said. He said, we have to get the ball in his hands. We don't care where they're going to kick it. Tony Horn is going to bring it out.
95 yards. The kickoff return by Horn. More than 99 bottles. 21-17. The Rams lead it. Set to kick off is Jeff Wilkins. And back deep for Minnesota, Tate will field it. And Robert Tate spins to the 25.
Let's watch Tony Horn's return again. Here's Tony Horn. Now here's his wedge. Now he wants to get in behind his wedge, which is going to slide to the left. But watch the block that Andy McCullum gets, number 64, right here. He is the guy that gets the block that's bringing him. You see, they hold hands, keep it together, bring the wedge to the left, and the block right there by number 64. That's all you have to give Tony Horn right there. Andy McCullum got him the block, gave him the step, and the touchdown.
Well, the Vikings lost, as you know, or maybe not, two of their key guys on kickoff and punt coverage to injury. George outside the Moss. He's thrown for a loss. Back to the 20.
That's this is what happens to a special teams coach after he looks at a play. He's looking at it to see where the block came from and then what happened. And then he's had enough of it. He just rolls it up and dumps it.
Second and 13. Pass completion, lost 3 yards. 2 tight ends. Here's Jeff George back to throw it and fires to Carter, who made the stretch grab, and now they're saying he might be out of bounds.
How in the heck did he catch that thing?
I don't know. He is vehement about he was inbounds.
Yeah, he is inbounds. The only thing is you have to watch his hands, and I think they said that he bobbled the ball.
Maybe he did.
His feet were inbound. And what the official was saying that he bobbled the ball. So
he's looking for a challenge. I
think we ought to look at it again, and this time, instead of looking at the feet, look at the ball and see if he has control of the ball when his feet are inbound.
I think he's going to challenge, and he's saying exactly what you said. He's juggling, bobbling.
Yeah, that was a signal. You have to see if he had control, because there's no question. You see the signal when the official comes up and he does like that, hands up and down, hands up and down. That means bobble the ball, no control.
You don't see him bobble many, Chris Carter.
And I don't know that. I mean, if it was a bobble, it was a little bobble.
Yeah.
It wasn't a big bobble.
It's not reviewable due to the bobble on the sideline. It'll be 3rd down.
I thought this should have been a catch.
Well, if there's a bobble, it's a real little bobble. I don't think that's a bobble.
I don't either.
No, this doesn't look like a bobble. I mean, I think he catches that with those hands, and he has control over the way. I don't believe. Now they can't review it, but I don't think that official was right that was
I don't
a bobble.
either. He never did bobble it.
Bobble's a fun word to say, though.
Yes, it is. George for Jake Reed, incomplete. Let's go down to Ron Pitts.
Well, Pat, I talked to Coach Dick Vermeil at halftime. Said the main problem is we started out so fast. As a coaching staff, we got away from some things, like the run game. They're going to try to come back and be more patient with that. The last thing he said coming out before to the half here, he told the team, we've taken their best shot. Now let's give them ours. I think that kickoff return for a touchdown was a good example of another good shot by the Rams. Pat, back up to you.
And here, thank you, Ryan. Here's another guy who's capable of taking a shot. Hakeem. To the 45, a flag on the play.
There's going to be a face mask there. But they are fun to watch, though.
They are so quick.
And it's not only offense. I mean, you think of wide receivers when you think of speed, but this is defense. This is special teams, punt return, kickoff return. Everything they do with an up tempo.
Even into the huddle and out, everything is quick.
And
Face mask, 5 yards. On the kicking team, number 57, during the return. A regular 5-yard penalty. First down.
And if the Rams win, the game's here. If Minnesota wins, it's in Tampa Bay.
Fall.
That was the thing that Dick Vermeil talked about that they wanted to get back to, that they got, sometimes you do. And as he was saying, you kind of get enamored with this quick strike, and you get the play and you get the big plays. And then you forget about the basics, and then your offensive line doesn't get into the game. And I think that's what happened to this Ram offensive line at the end of the half. They hadn't gotten into the game because they hadn't had any running yet.
3 wide receivers this time. Flag on the play. Falk straight ahead. Ed McDaniel tripped him up.
I'll tell you, Marshall Falk is really quick. I mean, whether it's catching the ball and turning and running with it, or just hitting a play like that, a trap play. I mean, he gets there so quick.
Defense number 92, 5 yards, results in a first
Dwayne
down.
Clemens jumped again.
Well, here's Clemens right here, and you see him jump, and then you see the trap play. I mean, the guards block back, and you see the tackle pulling right there. Well, you did see it. He was well, it was a tackle trap, but I'll tell you, he really hit that thing quickly, Marshall Falk.
He does hit it in a hurry.
Ricky Prohl was in the backfield.
Now Akeem was in the backfield, and here's Falk. Another, close to at least, another first down, tripped up by McDaniel.
And that's exactly what Dick Vermeil told Ron Pitts at halftime, is that they want to get back to this. And this was my feeling at halftime. With you know they ought to. I mean, here's Marshall Falk here. You can see he doesn't get in the stance. He just has both hands on his knees, and he just has great speed and quickness and vision and all that stuff. You know, he was saying one thing, that he doesn't have to look where he's going. So defensive guys can't key his eyes.
Second and short. Dwayne Rudd wrapped up Marshall Falk for a loss.
You know, and that's that draw play where Kurt Warner goes back, and he'll take a 3-step drop and then pump like he's going to throw it, and then hand it to Marshall Falk. What? 1, 2, 3, pump, and then come back and hand. Dwayne Rudd, number 57, read it all the way. Didn't go for the 1, 2, 3 pump, just went for the draw.
He's one of the guys that's supposed to affect the linebackers.
But he had seen that play on film and in practice, and he didn't go for it 1 iota.
On third down. Pass is caught by the tight end, Roland Williams. And Williams gets down to the 15.
Let me just see that formation again, because I saw Roland Williams at practice the other day, and he said, draw me up. He said, if I make a play, he said, draw me up. He said, I want to be drawn up. So here he is right here. I'll draw him up. He's right here, and he's going to come across right here. Now again, you know, you think of the backs, you think of the wide receivers, and they don't throw a lot to the tight end, but here I'll draw him up twice. So he got drawn up.
Yeah. He got his wish. 1st and 10.
I met his grandmother was at practice yesterday. Roland Williams' grandmother.
Falk hit behind the line. Kylie Wong tripped him up. Hitchcock out of the game for Minnesota.
No game.
Well, Jimmy Hitchcock is the right corner. Robert Tate is playing that position now, and there's Foch Fazio signaling in the defenses. But if they were going to take advantage of Hitchcock not being in there, they haven't done it yet. Robert Tate just 4 or 5 weeks ago was a wide receiver.
Here's Warner. Gets it upfield to Ricky Prohl, who crosses and gets a first down, crosses the 5.
Now in this play here, Ricky Prohl was a 3rd wide receiver. He's in there as a 4th wide receiver too. That time he comes in motion, and Dick Vermeil told us yesterday, he said anytime you see Ricky Prohl in there as the 3rd wide receiver, not the 4th guy, we are going to go to him. He is the number 1 target.
They're going to measure. It appeared he had it.
Look at this. When they get down here, they're pretty good at getting touchdowns. 56 possessions, 37 touchdowns, and that's 2nd in the league.
And that's 1st and goal. There's Hitchcock, Jimmy Hitchcock.
He's saying that he's ready to go. He wants to go back in. They just sent him back in.
Yep. 1st and goal at the 4. Our information is that he just had cramps. Of course, that can be very painful.
and chasing this speed all day can cause cramps.
Warner tosses incomplete. Isaac Bruce, the target.
That's not one of Kurt Warner's strengths.
No.
Is running with the ball.
Especially not running left.
No, he's not going to be a threat when he does that. I mean, they have so much speed and so many weapons that one of those weapons is not Kurt Warner when he's running out here. I mean, he doesn't look like he's putting the fear in anyone with his running ability. Although he does get outside containment, then he has a chance to read. He had to wait a little too long to try and get the ball out here to Isaac Bruce.
Of course, he played Arena League football, and the way the Rams play, they make it look like Arena League. Everything's so quick.
And I think, you know, that part of the things that he does, one of the things he does so well is get rid of the ball quickly, and I think that was developed in Arena League.
Delay on the offense.
And with people close to him.
That's the other thing. We were talking to him about that yesterday, and he said he got that as a freshman in high school. He said they had a drill when he was a freshman quarterback in high school, and the drill was no receivers. He'd just go back to pass. The drill was called Kill Kurt, and they would just run right at him and run into him. And he said that's how he learned to stand in there as a freshman in high school.
Never threw it. No receivers, as he said.
But the drill was called Kill Kurt. I don't know. You'd come back too many times for your sophomore year.
They make you give up the game, wouldn't they? Warner found Bruce, who tried to stretch out and get it in the end zone, but is cut down at the 1.
He just came right back. You hear that that booing sound? That's, of course, is Bruce. They just Bruce, that type of thing. But you see the time that he has now. You know, we talked about that pass rush that the Vikings were starting to get in the second quarter at the end of the half. They don't have it now because Kurt Warner had all kinds of time to find this.
Number 50 lined up on the left of the offensive line is eligible to catch a pass.
That's Ryan Tucker, the extra tight end.
It goes to Falk, and Falk hammers in the end zone, touchdown. As a ball carrier, as a pass receiver, as a person, Marshall Falk says, I always want to know where the trouble can come from.
That's right, because he wants to know where it is and where it can be, so he can either go there and take it on or not go there. Watch him. He's going to get a lead right here, and no one touched him. I mean, until he got in the end zone.
Wilkins' extra point is good. It's 28-17.
17 years, huh?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's January 30th. Excuse me. Mo Williams. Fumble, and the Rams have it. The Rams come up with the ball.
Look at this crowd. This is the first playoff game that they've had here in St. Louis in their history.
Recovered by James Hodgins.
There's their special teams coach, Frank Gans. He's a motivational guy.
The ball's loose.
But you see that hand just came in there and ripped it out. It was under one of the Vikings' legs.
Hodgins dug it out of there. 1st and 10, the Rams.
Frank Gans
looking to put it away.
The special teams coach, his nickname is Crash.
He can tell you some motivational stories, can't he?
I sat in their meeting yesterday, and he gave a great story about war and the Marines and Spirit de Corps and that whole thing. Heck, he had me fired up. I would have ran down under a kickoff.
I noticed that the room cleared when you came back.
Yeah, you know, you listen to motivation like that, and you know that you have one left in you. You know, you always have one hit left in you, and you kind of save it and maybe take it with you. I thought maybe I'd use that one.
You thought you had one?
Yeah, but then I went to bed and I woke up and I said, where the heck did that stupid thought come from?
I'm going to stand clear if you got one.
No. You still have one. You have one left in you, but then when are you going to use it? Maybe never.
That's what scares me.
No, you take it with you.
2nd and 8. That's Marshall Falk. Flag on the play. Falk is knocked down by Wong, but there's a flag on the play.
And the flag is back here, and it's going to be holding. It's probably against Roland Williams. I don't know if you'll want me to draw him up on that one, but he was a guy I said, you know, sometimes they hit their heads or put their arms out.
60, offense, 10 yards, repeat second down.
That's the center, Mike Grudidoria. But it was way back. It was they blitzed up the middle is what they did, and then Marshall Falk got to the outside. Watch, you'll see the blitz here. Here's Grudidoria here.
There just isn't enough room on the back of that jersey for that name.
And he just picked him up right there. In fact, he got Dwayne right. He grabbed him with his left hand, but that's what they did. They ran a split 6 blitz where you blitz those 2 A gaps. Marshall Falk saw it and bounced it to the outside. Grudidoria just grabbed Rudd.
2nd and 18.
All right, I got it.
Got a long way.
And here's Warner back to throw. Has plenty of time and has a man wide open. That's Torrey Holt, who spins up for a first down.
You know, and I think the key thing is, I mean, Torrey Holt gets open, Kurt Warner throws him the ball, but the key thing is, you said, has plenty of time.
Yep.
And you know, if you have plenty of time, then you can do these kinds of things. But look how quickly these guys come and how they spread and they move, and they have guys open all over the place. But here's what it is. It's right here. It's this offensive line blocking and forming the pocket and giving Kurt Warner that kind of time.
2 tight ends set up this time, and that's one of them in motion. And the pitch is back to Falk.
I don't think that he made it. I think Robert Griffith stopped him short.
I don't think he did either.
At the first down there, they tried that option play, that flip.
They said they weren't going to use that.
Well, they used it in short yardage. This is an interesting situation. You know, the Rams do have a fake field goal here. And you know, whether you call it or not, I think this if you could get a fake field goal here,
this is a good spot for it.
Yeah, but I don't think they got the right defense for it. I think they'll kick this one.
42 yards out is Wilkins. Not good. No good. Didn't look like he hit it quite flush. The Cardinals Baseball Hall of Fame. Familiar name of McGuire up there with that 75. George gives to Smith.
I think the Bowling Hall of Fame was in that same building.
The same building is right. This big bowling country here. And baseball. And football.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's football.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been here since Thursday, and these people, everything is yellow and blue. I mean, in fact, yesterday I ate some blue bagels.
Did you?
Yeah. That's some yellow ones too. Chose the blue. That was stupid.
2nd and 9. George drops. Incomplete. Dropped by Jordan, the tight end.
And that was the first time that Jeff George has thrown to a tight end, I think, in 2 weeks. Last week against the Cowboys, they didn't throw to the tight end.
He tried once.
And I think that's the first time that he's thrown to one today.
Hit himself in the head.
Yeah. Watch what they do to Randy Moss out there. We talked about Dexter McLean has been trying to play him physical all day. And that time he was kind of above and beyond. He even grabbed the face mask.
3 wide receivers this time. The Rams play nickel, showing blitz. Now they back out of it. Now they come around the corner. George gets away from it. Pass is incomplete. Good coverage. Intended for Jake Reed.
And the coverage again was out here with Dexter McLean. He's the guy that they've been trying to work on, but he's been up to it today.
Yes, he has.
I mean, he's a scrappy guy, and he's been out there and he's been fighting those wide receivers. He's been hitting them. He got the interception, remember, when he was coming under. But he's playing this game very physical, and that's a good quick reaction there. Remember earlier he almost had an interception on a quick pass.
Zahir Hakim. Hakim wrapped up.
That's an oxymoron, isn't it? Sports IQ.
Yeah. Check your local listing. Kurt Warner, 13 out of 17. Attempt number 18 is complete to Falk. Midfield and the cross.
Look at the moves that he has. I mean, he can go. I mean, he has Barry Sanders-like moves where you take one step to the right and your next step is to the left. I mean, most people can't do these kinds of things. And if they did, they'd have to be stretched out and redone again. Watch how he takes a step that way and then back way and then back the other way.
All under control, too.
This is what it looks like if you were trying to tackle it. You see how he just... Yeah, he's a kid, as I said before, when he played tag as a kid, he was never it.
Warner, the rush gets him. John Burrow, Jerry Ball, and Dwayne Rudd.
Well, watch this. They tried the shovel pass, and we said how they take that away. You see, it's right here, and you just see how defensive linemen now, they see that type of thing, and they go and they tackle the guy, and then they can't get to him, and then there's no one to throw it to. Jerry Ball read that perfectly. Saw Marshall Faulk go and said, this is a shovel pass or a screen, and Jerry Ball just tackled him, and then Kurt Warner had to eat the ball.
So it's second and long. 18 make it. 4 wide receivers this time as Warner has no backs with him, but gets it upfield. That's Faulk again, and Faulk is down to the 20, and a flag on the play.
The same play that Dallas ran against him. They go empty backfield, find out who Dwayne Rudd, number 57, is on, then take that matchup and throw the ball to him. That time Dwayne Rudd was on Marshall Faulk.
And he can't cover him.
No, and they can't. And they've done that earlier in the game, too. Spread it out, find out where 57 goes, and go to work on that area.
80 of the offense during the run, 10 yards, still first down.
Called against Isaac Bruce, but you heard Walt Coleman say it's still first down for the Rams.
One thing about these Ram receivers too is they do block, and you saw how they get that thing spread out again, and we'll see it again, I'm sure, because they've done it earlier. The Cowboys did it last week. Is get them spread out, then find out who the linebacker's on, and just let him go.
Amp Lee has taken the place of Marshall Faulk. He's a deep back. Warner fakes, throws it to the other side to Torrey Holt.
Now, Mike Martz is the offensive coordinator that came in here and put this offense in for Dick Vermeil and the Rams, and there's Mike Martz right there, and he says that he learned his football from Ernie Zampese, and he said Ernie Zampese always told him, just get the ball into your big play guys, get the ball in the hand of your big play guys, and that's what offensive football is about. And you can just see he has so many big play guys here, and he has different ways of getting their hands on the ball.
That's Amp Lee, who is a very large part of the offense here with the Rams last year. But when they got Marshall Faulk,
yeah, talking about part of an offense, there's a guy who's a big play guy, an important part of the New York Jets offense.
Keyshawn Johnson.
And, you know, we talk about big receivers and physical receivers. Keyshawn is that, too.
3rd and 5. Excuse me, John.
No, Evander Holyfield is here somewhere, too. I saw him earlier.
Warner back. They have the first down. Hakeem tried to cut it back outside and almost lost the first, but he got it.
You just see the way he spreads the ball around. I mean, it's Amp Lee, it's Holt, it's Hakeem, it's Bruce, it's Marshall Faulk. They just have all different guys. And watch as you watch this. I mean, you see 3 and 4 guys open all the time. And this Mike Martz has brought in an offense is really something. I said I saw Evander Holyfield there. The champ is right there. I tell you, and I still call him champ.
Holt. Complete to Robert Holcomb. There's a name we haven't heard much of, Holcomb.
Yeah, we just said how they spread the ball around. Did you see John Randall come flying through there, though? Watch John Randall. He's right here. I guess it isn't Randall. It's right here. I saw someone coming in front, and that's what Kurt Warner learned years ago in that kill Kurt drill, that there's going to be guys flying at you.
That's
but
McDaniel.
You don't let them bother you. That was Ed McDaniel come flying. I watch it. He just takes off and leaves. But watch Kurt Warner. I mean, he still looks downfield. Now, how you can look downfield and concentrate and complete when you have stuff like that in front of you?
Touchdown. Jeff Robinson from Warner. They can't stop him.
They got him coming from all over. Jeff Robinson was a defensive lineman at one time that they converted to tight end. He's a second tight end right here. And you see he fakes like he's going to block, and then he just runs right through the end zone. And there was no coverage there. They probably thought it was run. They probably thought they were down there in the goal line. There's no way they're going to throw to Jeff Robinson. Heck, he's an ex-defensive lineman. Boom, they throw it to him for a touchdown.
Extra point by Wilkins is good. 35-17. A team playoff record of 325 yards.
And he is pumped up. And, we're getting the separation now here, the winning and losing, and you can see it on one sideline and feel it in the other. Good pass protection. Again, Kurt Warner having the time to find Robinson.
We know that Buccaneer coach Tony Dungy is watching down in Tampa. And we'll be talking to him later, and he can't be enjoying this shootout too much.
And Terry Bradshaw said something about that they would rather play the Rams than Minnesota. I sure don't agree with that, because one thing, if they got to play Minnesota, I think they'd play the lesser of the two teams, and they'd get to play them at home.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to play, if they play the Rams, they'd have to play, I think, the better of the two teams, and they've been the better of the two teams all season. But the other big thing is they'll have to come here where they haven't lost a game all year.
And it's on the turf, and they are very fast.
And like I said earlier, that playoff experience right now, you can throw that out the window. I mean, where does that count? Who's thinking about that right now?
The only thing you can say about it so far for Minnesota, it's an unpleasant experience.
And look at this dominance in the third quarter by the St. Louis Rams. All starting with a kickoff return.
Robert Tate. 27.
So that's spreading the ball around, and that's having a lot of guys that can make things happen with the ball in their hands.
Jeff George fumbles the snap, and the Rams have it. The Rams have it. DeMarco Farr comes out with it. I just started to say that Minnesota, thinking about establishing a balanced attack, just went out the window. They're going to have to throw it. Now they can't get the ball from the center to the quarterback.
Yeah, the balanced attack is over. As you said, the ball just comes up there. It looks like it got up there and just flopped out of Jeff George's hands. I mean, that's something. We're in playoffs now. I mean, that's something that should never happen. The exchange between the center and the quarterback, that ought to be as automatic can get. That's automatic on the high school level.
1st and 10 Rams at the Viking 23-yard line. 4 wide receivers. They're going after it. Falk moves in motion. No backs. Warner outside to Hakeem. Out of bounds at the 13 by Robert Griffith.
We were talking about Mike Martz, and even before the game saying how they're going to come out in attack mode, throwing the ball, and I think he came out in an attack mode, throwing the ball, and now we're in the 4th quarter, and he's still doing it. I mean, they come here and they got the lead, and they spread them out. They have empty backfields and hitting different receivers, getting into the 4th quarter. He really has them going.
Taking Georgia, that would be Georgia Frontiere, who owns the Rams, to Georgia, and that would be Atlanta.
Look at that, the old Madden Cruiser there. There's a turkey down there by the wheel.
Yeah. Doesn't have enough legs, though.
I'm standing out there waving in the back. It's a cartoon.
Warner. Sidearms one down to Torrey Holt. He gets to the 5.
Warner has a hot hand now. He's 12 out of 13. The only incomplete pass he had was on that one that he kind of ran out there on a sprint out or whatever that thing was.
Shot put it into the end zone.
Yeah, but other than that, he's been perfect, and he's throwing it to different guys. Look, in the second half, he's 12 out of 13, 149 yards and a touchdown. He wasn't bad in the first half. He was 9 out of 12 and 2 touchdowns.
35-17. Boy, you got him. Don't let him up.
What a story Kurt Warner's been.
Quarterback draw. Down to about the 1. John Randall riding him.
There's Kurt Warner's wife we talked about earlier, Brenda, and then right next to her is his mother, Sue, in the blue sweater there with the smile and clapping. Mother and wife. They're really happy. I mean, what a year this has to be for them. Huh? Wow. You know, to live it.
That's some story.
And no one could see that coming. I mean, no one could see the team coming. No one could see Kurt Warner coming before the season.
Warner. He reported, checked in. That's Ryan Tucker, number 50, who made the touchdown catch.
And we were at practice on Friday, and they were throwing it to Ryan Tucker. And he's a backup offensive lineman. A couple weeks ago, he played left tackle for Orlando Pace. And I was watching that, and I said, oh, they just do it in practice to make them feel good, to have some laughs. And I'll be doggone if they didn't do it in the game. But this is one. Here he is. Here's the old offensive lineman there. Fakes, blocks, and no one's going to guard him. I mean, if you're number 60, no one's going to block you. Or no one's going to guard you if you're number 50.
New weapon. The old-time delivery truck. You ever drive a delivery truck?
Yeah, I did, but I mean, not an old-time one like that. I used to be what they called a lumper. I was a lumper.
A lumper?
Yeah, a lumper. You're the guy for meat and for beer, and you're the guy that carries it in the store.
Ball was loose.
There may be some foreign objects under there. There's stuff going on.
Pointing like they got it back, but I think it was down this time.
You can see it in Chris Dolman's face there. He's been a great player for 15 years in this league, and
one of what, 4 with over 150 sacks.
He retired last year, and then the Vikings brought him back, and he came back to the Vikings because he wanted one more shot. He'd never won a Super Bowl, wanted a shot at a Super Bowl, and if he gets it, then you know that would be the end of that dream. And if he doesn't get it this year, he's going to retire, and this could very well be his last game.
Could be. Started off with the Vikings, finished with the Vikings. Screen pass to Smith. Dragged down from behind by London Fletcher. Read it perfectly.
London Fletcher's nickname, he calls himself, is .com. He said, you just put me on a line and I go get it. His old .com.
Yeah.
And he was .com on that play.
He calls himself a lot taller than he is, too.
No. He wants himself shorter because they tried to give him 6 feet, and he didn't want 6 feet. He said there's some advantages to being short. One, they can't always see you, and 2, you're always in a hitting position. So far today, he has 9 tackles and 1 sack.
Here's Jeff George. Firing up the middle to Chris Carter, incomplete.
You know, London Fletcher went to John Carroll University, and you know who else went to John Carroll University?
Don Shula.
Player.
Don Shula.
Look at that. Here's what it is. London Fletcher. Now in the media guide, they list him as 6 feet. And he got mad at that, and he went to the guys and said, I don't want to be listed at. So in the team releases, like the stuff we get now, they list him at 5'10". I checked him out yesterday next to Sandy Grossman, and I think he's like 5'9". I got him at 5'9".
Sandy Grossman, of course, is our director, who says he's 5'7".
No, he's 5'4".
Sandy? Flag on the play.
But I think that some of these guys, like a London Fletcher, are good role models. I mean, for kids that they say you're too small.
Offense, 5 yards. Still 3rd down.
You know, for too small, you don't have a chance. You can't make it. You shouldn't. You know that if you have whatever it takes to make it, no matter what your size, you're going to be able to play. You'll find a place to play. And that's what Sam Mills did right before London Fletcher. That's what London Fletcher did.
About the same size. And
it's these guys that are special guys that, you know, it's not always great big old guys.
Jeff George back in the shotgun. Incomplete. Somebody hit his arm just as he let it go. Clemens hit his arm. And they will have to punt.
Clemens is there and Wistrom is there. You see, here's Clemens coming from his right side. And just as Jeff George went to throw the ball, Clemens hit his right elbow. Watch his hand come, and it's going to hit his elbow just as he releases that.
Anybody who says that bye week doesn't mean anything doesn't know anything about this game, because the two that had the byes won yesterday, and the bye recipient is going to get win today.
Yeah, but I mean, the Rams are the better team, but don't they look like the fresher team?
The fresher, that's what I'm talking
very
about.
Fresh.
Yeah. Jeff George must feel like he's been in the middle most of the day. Here's Warner pitching back to Marshall Faulk, and Faulk goes for 11.
You know, Marshall Faulk, you know, we talked about how quick he is and how he says he doesn't have to look where he's going. Remember as a kid, you'd run into a wall or something and someone would always yell, well, look where you're going. So probably in his life, no one ever yelled at Marshall Faulk, hey, look where you're going.
I bet somebody did.
But then he learned to go where you're not looking.
Yep.
He went to San Diego State because they were the only school that told him he could be a running back.
Goes to show you how wrong a lot of people can be. The pass is complete to Torrey Holt.
Runner's pass completed to 88. Torrey Holt.
Not too many final thoughts that you could have about the Rams, except they are very fast and very quick striking and very effective.
Kurt Warner is close to perfect.
Bounces off his fullback Robert Holcomb.
When they talk about guys getting in a zone or getting in a mode or getting online or whatever it is, Kurt Warner is, and London Fletcher just sent word up through Ron Pitts that he's online. I don't know how long it took him to get online, but he said he's online now, so that's his nickname, .com.
I remember having dinner with Dick Vermeil last summer, and they were just about to come out of training camp, and he said, if nothing happens to my quarterback, we'll be pretty good. At that time, the quarterback was Trent Green. This guy is pretty good. Catch by Hakeem. Difficult catch.
You know, and you talk about a guy that is stuck with it. I mean, here's a guy that in college didn't play until his 5th year. Then he went to Green Bay, and he was just kind of a camp guy. And then he went and played in the Arena League. And then he went and played in
Europe.
NFL Europe. Yeah. And then he was a backup. And then Trent Green goes down, and they say, Kurt Warner here, the job is yours. And the guy has been amazing.
There's Trent Green. Amazing thing is, when Cleveland started picking in the expansion draft, he was exposed. They could have had Kurt Warner.
Yeah, so now the Rams can't say, well, we knew Kurt Warner could always do it, because they wouldn't have exposed him.
That's Holcomb.
25.
You want to see how Kurt Warner got to where he is today? This is how he did it right here. College, Northern Iowa right there. Then he went to the Packers. And then he plays for the Iowa Barnstormers. Then he goes way over here, like, whoa, way over there, Amsterdam.
You would have had a tough time doing all that.
I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it. Then he comes back and plays with the Rams. No, I could have played for the Iowa Barnstormers. I couldn't have played over there in Amsterdam. I couldn't get there.
A lot of cornfields out in Iowa. There's Warner. Pass complete. Hakeem.
That's where that kill Kurt helped. I mean, he was getting him. Jerry Ball was right down there on him, just bearing down, and he just stood in there. I mean, it's a blitz, and you're going to see the Vikings are coming after Kurt Warner now. Here comes the blitz, and he just stands in there. Watch, he steps up, throws that thing, takes a hit. No matter what you do to Kurt Warner, he has not become or come close to being unraveled. We're talking about the two most impressive things about him is how quickly he gets rid of the ball and how he stands in there.
There's another thing very impressive about him, too, and that's the kind of person he is. His story, if you haven't read it, read it, because it's great. Inside the 5 is Ernie Conwell, and I think somebody got him by the face mask.
And that's going to be like the 10th guy that caught a pass, because we just had a graphic showing 9, and now Ernie Conwell comes in, and he's the 10th guy. So one thing about Kurt Warner, he is going to spread that thing around. And there gets to be a point now you can
Personal
see
foul,
these Vikings now.
Face mask, grasping and twisting. 52 of the defense. Half the distance to the
Well,
goal.
there's so much freshness about the Rams. There's so much newness about the Rams, and they're so enthusiastic. It's great to see.
Yeah, and they're fun. I mean,
yeah.
you know, they're fresh and they're fun, and you can just see that you know that this thing is something that isn't too big for him. I never got the feeling that this and being in the playoffs is too big for him.
Over here, guys, 50.
Ryan Tucker is eligible again. He caught a touchdown pass the last trip down. This time he's lined up on the left.
Watch 50. He's a weapon. They'll be doubling 50.
Touchdown pass. That's Roland Williams. It's like shooting ducks in a barrel.
And like I said, whatever that thing is that you get in, Kurt Warner is in it.
You call it a zone, don't you?
I don't know. I mean, the zone.
I've never been there.
I've never been anything like this, but this guy is hot. That's a 6 different Ram with a touchdown today. Woo.
Well, we watched Jacksonville overwhelm Miami yesterday. The Vikings, don't forget, led this game at the half. 49-17, the St. Louis Rams. First playoff game ever in St. Louis, and they've made it a happy experience, haven't they?
You waited that long for something, you might as well make the most of it, and I'll tell you, they are making the most of it today.
Wilkins has had a lot of practice kicking off, but Tate's going to bring it out of the end zone. Coverage is good at the 20. Let's go down to Ron Pitts.
Well, Pat, all year long, the one thing the Rams have heard consistently is that they haven't played anybody. Even when they won, that's been the same old theme. Well, the Rams players were down here just a few minutes ago screaming, hey, I guess we still haven't played anybody. Back up to you, Pat.
Well, the second half, it looked like there was nobody else out there.
You know, and I never believed that one all year. That, you know, when there was a point from the middle of the year on that you could tell that the Rams were one of the better teams, and then the last 5 or 6 weeks you could tell they were the best team in the NFC. And I didn't think that schedule thing. I thought that was a bunch of baloney, and I thought not having any experience in the playoffs was a bunch of baloney.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, beat Washington yesterday, and they'll face the winner of this game, and Tony Dungy, the winner of that victorious team yesterday, is listening, and I wonder what your thoughts are, Tony.
Well, I'll tell you, Pat and John, these guys look very, very impressive. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and they have so much team speed. All over the field. You see it on offense, defense, and special teams, and it's going to be a big challenge.
Yeah, well, you started today, Tony, and again, congratulations on your win yesterday, but you didn't know who you were going to play or where you were going to play, and I think now we can say you know who you're going to play. You're going to play the Rams, and you're going to play them here. What are your feelings? What do you do next, like when this game is over? What is the first thing you're going to do to get ready for the Rams?
Well, we actually graded our film this morning, and we kind of started up on the Rams because we'd played Minnesota twice. So we started working on them. Our players will actually have the day off today, and then we'll come in and get a normal workout in tomorrow. But we've got to take a long look at them because we don't know a lot about them.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. On offense, they give you a lot of sets with a lot of different guys handling the ball.
They really do look impressive on offense, and they've got some great skill position guys, and they move them all around, and they seem to get the ball to them on the run, and they can do things with it, especially on that AstroTurf.
Well, will your coaches start working on the Rams tonight?
Yeah, we'll actually start this afternoon just looking at a little tape, breaking it down, and seeing what we can come up with.
Will you do some work on the artificial turf?
No, we've played on artificial turf a lot, and we've played up in Detroit in the Dome. We played in Seattle, so that won't be a big problem. And we've got a speed team also, so we hope that surface helps us a little bit.
Well, Tony, thank you very much for this, and congratulations again.
All right, thanks a lot. See you guys next week.
Okay. Okay, Tony, thanks.
Tony Dungy.
He's a class guy. I mean, we're going to have, Tony Dungy and Dick Vermeil next week for the championship, and of course the winner of that game goes to the Super Bowl. And this is a rematch of the '79 NFC championship.
Hey, look at the score of that game.
Yep, the Rams won 9-0.
I did that game. It wasn't the most exciting.
Well, when you don't have any touchdowns and 3 field goals, I'll guarantee you it won't be that kind of game next Sunday.
Jake Reed made the catch. They say he was shoved out of bounds by the defender.
Yeah, what the rule is if his feet are in the air and he would have come down in bounds, but is pushed out by the defender, it's in bounds. He's in the air, he would have come down in bounds and is pushed out of bounds, so that's a good call. Although it looked like the one official was saying no.
Yep, he was.
And I think the other official overruled him.
1st and 10. The Vikings inside the Ram 20. Smith. Not much. Again, a reminder that coming up on our Budweiser postgame report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have final thoughts, and the Fox Sports sticker will have up to the second stats. And that's coming up next on the Budweiser postgame report.
There you went, the old .com's online, and he's staying online. He's still he just has a feel, that he commits himself, then can come off a commitment and make another commitment.
Here's George. Escapes one, throws across, caught by Andrew Glover, and that'll make it 1st and goal, Vikings.
That is one of the things that Peter Junta, the defensive coordinator, one of the defensive coordinators of the Rams, they have 2 defensive coordinators. Peter Junta, that's him right there, and John Bunting, and their co-defensive coordinators. But one of the things he was saying that they wanted to do was to flush Jeff George out, but flush him to his left because they didn't think that he threw very well running to his left.
Leroy Horde in the backfield. George retreats, fires, touchdown. Jake Reed.
And Jake Reed's been around a long time, and he knows there's no need in celebrating that. I mean, he just kind of threw that one down and walked back to the huddle or walked off the field because that's going to be too much too late. But Jeff George can still zip it, can't he?
Yes, he can.
I mean, he's in there, and that ball doesn't stay in the air. That's slow motion. That ball doesn't stay in the air long. And Jake Reed just reached out and caught that ball with one hand. But he's kind of being held by his left hand, and he just sticks the right one out and catches it.
It's going to be 40. Well, they're going for 2. Would you consider this a shootout?
This is a shootout, and I felt coming in it had to be a shootout because neither defense was a real strong defense, although the Rams played very well in all areas.
Hard. Untouched.
Now you ask if this is going to be a shootout. Here's an onside kick.
Vikings got it. Chris Carter with the hands.
Now the kicking team can't touch it until it comes 10 yards. But if the receiving team touches it right there, now, even though it didn't go 10 yards, the kicking team can recover it.
Carpenter got a hand on it, and Carter came up with it. First and 10, Minnesota. 42-25. Here comes Jeff George.
And we're just going to add this total yards up. Already the Vikings have 328 total yards. The Rams have 414.
That's at 800.
Yeah, so you said that this is going to be a shootout. It is a shootout, and this shootout isn't over yet.
Oh, that's right. The Vikings have the ball.
The crowd's starting to get back in the game again. They started to get into a celebration mode.
Screen pass. Smith checks it out of bounds after a pickup of about 6. Today's game is 2nd and 4. Today's game is being produced by Bob Stinner, whose birthday, by the way, is tomorrow. Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy birthday.
Directed by Sandy Grossman, who's 5'7" and something, he said. The associate directors, Mike Roig. The broadcast associates are Charles McDonald and Mark Mata. Pass is complete to Smith. Stumbles around. Might have gotten the first down. Dre Bly. If Sandy's only 5'7.5", all of that 5'7.5" is talent, wouldn't you think?
I had him 5'4".
Oh, well, it's still talent. Yeah, all talent.
Yeah, there's a group of guys that have done a good job. Adam Timmerman there, Miller, right tackle, big Orlando Pace. You know, we know what
Moss.
We know what Kurt Warner did. I was just saying what Kurt Warner did in the passing and all that. But that offensive line of the Rams did a good job of protecting them.
2nd and short. George spikes it, stop the clock. Technical producer, and he always does a marvelous job. Bob Butler. To our spotter Wayne Fiddleman. Statistician Rick Odioso. And our stage manager Rich Nelson. We thank them. They also always do a wonderful job.
Rick, thank you very much. And to Tom Yohe, who's helping us in the booth today. Thanks to him.
Technical directors Joe Abenda. Audio supervisors Fred Aldis. Flag on the play. The engineers Marty Ibeck. Pre-game show is produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. Randy Moss. And the hands go up.
That was a free play. What happened is the Rams jumped offside, so there's going to be a penalty on that. But I think it was a free play for the Minnesota Vikings. Jeff George saw it, and he just threw it down to Randy Moss. This will be a touchdown.
Penalty is declined.
It's a touchdown. Pre-game show produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy, senior producer Bill Brown. Let's look at that touchdown.
You see the jump there, so now the whistle doesn't blow because the defender didn't keep going unabated to the quarterback. He tried to get back, so now Jeff George knows that he has a free one, and even though Randy Moss is being double covered, he just throws it up there for the touchdown. So now we'll get another go for 2, then we'll get another onside kick. I couldn't score this many points in a pinball game.
There's a timeout.
30-second timeout.
Senior producer of Fox Sports, Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill. And we had celebrity bus this morning, didn't we?
Yeah, they were all there today.
Darrell Waldrop, Keyshawn Johnson. There's Jim Hannafin.
Now there's an old line coach, Jim Hannafin. Been around. Remember all those years with the Redskins and the Hogs, and
here with the Cardinals.
He was the head coach here of the St. Louis Cardinals, and one of the good coaches in football, one of the top assistants, and one of the real good guys.
We've said this before, but he led the nation in pass receiving
Yeah, he was
college.
He was a receiver at the University of California in Berkeley. You look at him now, who would have thought? I'll tell you,
he remembers.
Jim Hannafy, yeah, he could take the longest time to tell a story of anyone in the league.
49-31. George throws, pass incomplete.
Now old Frank Gans is up there, and he's getting that hands team of his, and he's getting them organized here, because you get to the point where you have the game under control and you've had about enough of this. And I think this is the point that the Rams are, okay, you know, we have it, looks like we have this thing won, but we had enough here. Let's put this fire out right now. And I'm sure that's what Frank Gans has called. Look at him.
Oh, he's
even bending his knees. I mean, he's going down. He got the fist. Tell him, let's load this wagon. Don't worry about the horse being blind. See, he thought that they gave him that last onside kick, and then they got a touchdown out of it. And I'm sure, you know, okay, we did some good things today. We did some average, and we did some bad things, but let's get the fire out.
And they just fought a battle in that huddle, I guarantee you. Hand to hand.
Yeah, old Crash was down there. Crash had his knees bent and his fists doubled up. This is going to be another onside kick. This is the onside kicking team of the Vikings. And to the left here would be what you call the onside prevent, or a hands team of the Rams.
49-31, 3:48 left. Minnesota still has all of their timeouts left.
And this is a restraining line, the line where the ball has to go over that line before the receiving team can touch it. I mean, before the kicking team can catch it.
That might be the straightest line you ever drew.
I know.
That's good.
Nerves of steel. Doesn't bother me.
Don't go overboard. They go straight ahead.
He got it.
They say we got it. I don't know who we is, but the Rams.
I think we are the Rams, and I think Minnesota probably touched it before it went that 10 yards.
Billy Jenkins came up with it.
So now Frank Gans, old Crash, ought to be happy now, because his special teams did put out that little fire, and that offense can get back here and run some time off this clock.
But they don't run much time off the clock. They get it in the end zone.
Yeah, but I think now they've had enough of that other stuff, because I know with Jeff George, he'll keep slinging that thing at you, and if he keeps slinging and has Randy Moss out there, they can still put some points up there. You got to calm this thing down.
How about 90 points? Tackle for a loss is Marshall Faulk. Kurt Warner, you said he was in the zone. His quarterback rating 144. That's off the scale. 5 TD passes, team playoff record. 390 yards, a team playoff record. 84.3% complete, third best in playoff history.
I think if anyone is wondering if he's for real, you don't have to wonder anymore.
158 is perfect. Incomplete. Well, he's not going to break perfect.
That's a funny number for perfect.
158?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. He was at 144 before that incompletion. 3 minutes left. Clock stopped.
You know, and sometimes you know, you get into that zone, then you start your celebration, and you know, and recess breaks out, and it's hard to get it back, and that's what's happening to the Rams now. That you know, recess broke out, and they're having a tough time getting back to work.
Inside trap handoff. Flag on the play. Faulk was the ball carrier, didn't go anywhere.
And I would think if it's against the Rams, I would think that Minnesota would turn it down and make them punt.
Face mask against the Vikings.
Well, it's not against the Rams.
Face mask, defense, number 56, 5 yards, repeat, third down.
Dolman.
You know, we talked about a shootout, and you know, this is going to be a shootout, and these are the kind of numbers you get right here when there's a shootout.
Gonna be.
Look at it. No, I mean, before you think,
Yeah.
I mean, you look at these two teams and you say, with all these weapons, there's going to be a shootout, and then right there are numbers of a shootout.
Well, this qualifies. 3rd and 10. No flag. That's Falk, lost yardage.
28, Marshall Falk, the ball carrier.
Yeah, now I'm sure everyone's saying, why didn't the Minnesota defense play like this the whole game? And the answer is the Ram offense didn't play like this the whole game.
The Ram offense played with the sense of urgency that the Minnesota defense is playing with now.
Well, they came out in an attack mode, and they attacked the whole game, and then they put it into glide here, and we're seeing the Rams in glide, and the Minnesota Vikings in that urgency you're talking about that says, you know, when we lose, we're out of it. And you know, there were 8 teams in the playoffs coming into this weekend. 7 of them are going to lose their last game, and that's the toughest game because you don't have a game the next week, and you have to live with that loss for 6 months.
Well, Red McCombs, who's a great guy, the owner of the Vikings, in his 2 years of ownership, he got beaten in the championship game by Atlanta last week. This week, he makes it almost to the final game.
Yeah, last year he got beat by Atlanta.
Last year, I'm sorry. Did I say last week?
Last year, and they were all ready to go to the Super Bowl.
False start, 56, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
This is a thing that, you know, once you get, as I said, you get it, and then once you let it go, it's hard to get back on that last play. You know, Marshall Falk, you know, was trying to run the ball, run some time off the clock. He couldn't get back to the line of scrimmage, and he was a little upset with his offensive line.
Moran's kick bounces out of bounds. Well, I started to say a minute ago, John, it's like a basketball team. You run fast break and you get ahead, and then all of a sudden the coach says, let's slow it down. And then they try to pick it up again when the other team begins to catch up, and you can't do it.
You know, Marshall Falk was in there wanting to know what the heck's going on.
Yeah. 1st and 10 at the 15. George. Pass is picked off. A sliding Todd Light. Now they're saying he didn't have it.
They've been doing that to Chris Carter. That's the way they've been trying to play him.
It's incomplete. The ball hit the ground.
The ball hit the ground.
2nd down.
You know, they're trying to double cover Randy Moss to get the jump, and then Chris Carter, they're trying to get under, and they've been doing a pretty good job at it. You see Chris Carter right here is you jumping for, that was just a bad throw there, but they know that he's not going deep, so they're playing underneath him, and the way they've been playing Randy Moss is over the top.
2nd and 10. 2.5 minutes left. George fires up the middle to Andrew Glover. Misfires.
We're talking about the guy that had a motor going. That Grant Wistrom is still going. There's Georgia Frontiere, the owner of the Rams, and down to celebrate with her guys. Dick Vermeil, what a story, you know. Last year he was too old. He'd been out of the game too long, 14 years. The game has passed him by. He was too tough a disciplinarian, worked him too hard, and now he's a wise man. Coach of the year.
George had a man open, Matthew Hatchett, and overthrew him.
I remember Dick Vermeil when I first started coaching, Pat. We used to go to coaching clinics, and they'd have, you know, coaches from the big colleges would talk, and we'd all take notes. In fact, Mike White would be there. He was the guy right next to him, the assistant head coach there. And we'd all take notes, and then we'd go back and we'd teach that stuff. But You know, like big old linemen like me, we always had sloppy notes. You'd put them in your back pocket. You'd sweat them. You'd spill something. You'd lose them. Dick Vermeil took the neatest notes. And then you know what he would do for nothing? He offered that he would, if you would just leave your address with him, he would send you a copy of his notes. And he did it for every coach in the state of California.
Flag on the play as Hakeem fields Berger's punt.
I mean, he was that kind of guy. I mean, the organization guy, the meticulous, and he hasn't changed in all these years. I mean,
well, I remember when he was trying to get into the broadcasting business, and I did his audition with him, and he had his preparation notes so meticulous.
We have an illegal shift on the offense. They never got set. We have illegal substitution. The receiving team. Those penalties offset. Replay, 4th down.
Talking about, look at this weekend, we're talking about a lot of weapons and opening up.
Yeah.
176 combined points.
I guess Dick Vermeil was the guy who coined the phrase burnout when he left the Eagles. He was sleeping at his office 3 days a week.
You know, we did his last game, and I remember it was against the Giants. It was Ray Perkins' last game, and I remember saying when we talked to Dick Vermeil the day before we started talking about the draft and what was coming up, and he couldn't talk about it. I remember saying in the air, you know, the Ray Perkins, this is his last game, and I think it's Dick Vermeil's last game too, and it was.
Yeah, I remember Ray Perkins when we met with him said, "I want you guys to meet the guy who's going to take my place," and he took us in and introduced us to Bill Parcells that day.
And what a coach he's been for a long time, huh?
Here's Jeff George. Pass is caught by Jake Reed.
Well, they brought Devin Bush. They were going for it. They had to. Devin Bush is a free safety, and he stayed back a little too long. Had he got a better jump on it, he would have got to Jeff George before George threw that ball.
That ball was almost picked off. It just, one of the Ram defenders flashed by just before Jake Reed made the catch. 1st and 10, nevertheless.
I mean, the Ram defense is trying to get back in here and go, and they're bringing, you know, blitzes, safety blitzes now, just a 4-man rush.
George deep to Moss. No flag. They got their feet tangled up. Dexter McKeon was back there with him. Moss is saying, "Hey."
They don't count that tripped up feet. No. They don't count that as a penalty. You know, at one time, I think they used to call that.
Yes, they did.
But now when they get tripped up, in fact, I don't see the feet getting caught. I don't see anything happening there.
Except he fell down.
Yeah. Dexter McLean has played well, though. I mean, he's a scrappy guy, and he's been scrapping against those two wide receivers all day. Randy Moss most of the time.
2nd and 10.
The flag came out.
Penalty flags.
But those two corners, both of them have done a good job. I don't know if that's not against Randy Moss.
Unsportsmanlike conduct on the bench of the offense. 15 yards. Still 2nd down.
It was the official that threw the flag, Pat. He was on the Vikings sideline, and he just came out and just threw the flag out of there. So someone either did or said something to him over on the sideline.
Moss was on the bench.
And it could have been him because he was still upset about not getting that call on that deep one. But it was someone because it was right. It was the official right in front of the, Viking bench. I don't think it would have been Foge. Foge would be if his defense were in, it could be Foge.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I would.
Somebody called somebody an unpleasant name.
And I don't want to say who it was, but if I had to guess, I would guess it was Moss because, you know, he was the guy that the play was called on, and he was still over there.
George. That's Chris Carter. Laterals it out. Brought it to Jake Reed.
George's pass completed to Carter, who in turn lateral to
Let's watch Randy Moss over here. Now this is when he was on the sideline, and again, the thing did come from him. I wonder if he squirted that official.
Yeah.
There's the official.
Yeah, I think he did.
That's it.
The Rams and St. Louis. The Rams' first playoff since they've been here. And St. Louis' first playoff game ever in the NFL. 3rd and 5. Jeff George out of the gun. Fires upfield. Incomplete. Juggled by Carlester Crumpler. And finally dropped.
How about the way they started this game? We just saw a shot down there of Isaac Bruce, and they get the ball. They're down 3-0. The Rams are, and they go play pass on first down, double post, and Isaac Bruce just runs right by everyone, and he's really the guy that got it all started. And of course, Kurt Warner took it over and then spread it out to everyone else. Isaac Bruce, caught 4 passes and 1 touchdown, and that 1 touchdown was the first offensive play the Rams had.
77 yards. Touchdown. Flag on the play.
You've been in football a long time. Have you ever seen a player squirt an official with a water bottle?
No.
You ever see him like when you played, they had the old water bucket? You ever see him throw it on the official?
Well, no, but I've seen him put a towel down in there and get it nice and wet with some ice stuck to it and throw it at the official.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Well, probably if there were ice stuck to it down at the old bottom of the bucket, there'd probably be a lot of other stuff stuck to it too.
That guy's not playing anymore.
Number 57, 5 yards, still 4th down.
Still 4th down.
I know what Dick Vermeil is thinking right here. I mean, that he's upset with the penalty. Not that the Vikings still need three touchdowns to beat them in 1:47 seconds, but he just wants to get this game over. Get this game over, go do a little celebrating, and start getting ready for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
4th and inches. They got the inches. Chris Carter to midfield. He got it.
Jeff George and the Vikings are making the Rams play more and longer and a little harder than I think they wanted to at this point of the game.
George spikes it. Stops the clock at 1:26. They still have two timeouts left. A flag on the play. Everybody wasn't lined up, I don't believe.
I think the flag was back here.
Maybe so. Yeah, way back.
It looks like, I think the signal is too many men on the field.
Illegal substitution on the defense.
That's
12
what the
men on the
signal
field.
is.
5 yards, still 1st down.
Yeah, they do have the Rams in disarray here. Like I said, I think they started celebrating a little too long. I don't think they're not in danger of losing the game, but they started their celebration a little too soon.
That's one of the things that Dick Vermeil doesn't really like is disarray.
No, but the little disarray gives you something to get on them about for next week.
George for Carter. Incomplete. London Fletcher back there.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was watching London Fletcher in practice the other day, and he can get back quicker. I mean, he can start up there in the line of scrimmage. Here he is back here knocking a ball down. In fact, the ball hit him in the head. The old middle linebacker starts there. He's been stopping the run all day. Now he has to defend the post, and the ball hits him right in the hat. But he can. I mean, he can get around the entire football field as quick as any linebacker.
Kurt Warner has 390 yards passing. Jeff George has 389 yards passing.
Jeff George is going to pass for more yards than Kurt Warner.
Screen pass goes to Robert Smith.
Keep him in.
And Smith, you can hear him yelling, keep him in, keep him in, keep him in bounds.
Now that's the thing you want to do when you have the lead and you're trying to run the clock out. You want to keep them in bounds. Of course, when you have the ball, you're behind. You want to get out of bounds to stop the clock.
Timeout, Minnesota. They still have one. I remember last year when we did the the Rams game out in San Francisco, the last game of the year when they were in total
disarray.
They weren't very good, but Dick Vermeil at that time even was praising London Fletcher, saying this guy is a player, he's going to be good. He gives you all, he's got all those coaching cliche things. Coming up, the post-game report. JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris. Post-game interviews. Look ahead to the NFC Championship game between the Rams and Buccaneers. The Fox Sports ticker. Jimmy Johnson retired. Dave Wanstead has replaced him. Tony Dungy and his staff getting ready.
You know, you're talking about Dick Vermeil and London Fletcher. The other thing, anytime Dick Vermeil talks about London Fletcher, you notice a smile always breaks out on his face.
Yep. Flag on the play.
I think Dick Vermeil was ready to celebrate too. Now he's getting upset.
Yeah. Prior to the snap, false start, 77 offense, 5 yards, still first down.
Corey Stringer.
I mean, even though that's against the offense, it's just that you want to get it over with. You don't want penalties, whether they're on your team or their team, because you don't want clock stoppage.
One of the things, this is Adam Timmerman, who they got from the Packers. Somebody was asking him how he played against John Randall. He said, I've learned to tune him out. That's hard to do.
Yep, he's old farm boy, Adam Timmerman.
Here's George. Going for the end zone to Chris Carter. And again, it's incomplete.
You know, Chris Carter, I saw him in an interview, and he was talking about that he might be retiring, and I think it was in the context if the Vikings were to go to and win the Super Bowl that he would consider it. But Chris Carter is one of those guys that has played a long time and has never gotten old.
That's right. He got hurt and he got well quickly. For those of you in the St. Louis market, stay tuned to continuing coverage of the St. Louis Rams on the Fox 2 postgame show following the Budweiser postgame report. Another flag. A reminder, stay tuned, those of you in the St. Louis area, in the St. Louis markets,
snap, delay, offense,
for
5 yards,
the Fox 2 postgame report following the Budweiser postgame report.
And there's Chris Dolman, who has played his last game. He was trying to get a championship. I mean, he's had everything else. He's the fourth leading sacker of all time. He's played well. He's been all pro. He's been Pro Bowl. He's been all those other things, but hadn't won a Super Bowl ring.
Leroy Horde. And here come the flags. That's going to be a face mask. Stops the clock. 52 seconds left. 49-31 Rams.
Personal foul. Twisting the face mask on the defense, number 22. 15 yards, automatic, first down.
You know, this had been a pretty good game, and then there's been 5 flags in the last minute. Look at old Hannafin down there talking to Jeff Robinson about congratulations and that touchdown. Tucker congratulating him on his touchdown. Old backup offensive lineman makes one. A guy who was a defensive lineman makes one. This hasn't been a bad game for linemen making big plays. 1st and 10, Minnesota.
George dumps it out to Robert Smith, who heads for the sideline, runs it out of bounds, stops the clock. 45 seconds left.
I know one thing that the Rams can't do is you can celebrate, but you can't spend too much time celebrating. And I learned a lesson the hard way. Years ago, we played a game and everyone said this is really the championship game. We're playing the Miami Dolphins, and we went, like they said, this is a championship game. And then we play the Dolphins and we win, and celebration, carrying off the whole thing. On Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, we were still celebrating. Pittsburgh comes in, beats us, they go to the Super Bowl. So you got to do a little celebrating and right back to work.
George Carter.
Oh, you got that. Oh, you got that right.
Now you hear him saying, "You got that right."
Yeah. Oh, you got that one right. That sideline has been tough on those officials over there.
Look at this catch and footwork.
I mean, he's amazing.
Yes,
I mean, his hands and feet and everything. Earlier they gave one to Bobble, and they probably thought that the guy couldn't catch the ball that cleanly, keep both feet in bounds, but they didn't realize that that guy was Chris Carter.
First and goal. Leroy Horde trying to move the stack. Can't get it done. Jeff George calls timeout. And that's the last one for the Vikings, the last timeout.
Yeah, but they'll get, if they get a score, that's an automatic timeout, and then a kickoff is automatic timeout, change of possession. So the fans are booing them for prolonging this game, but these guys are still trying to find if there is a way to win it. You know, can we score a touchdown here? Can we get another onside kick, score a quick strike, and get another onside kick?
Well, you remember what Tennessee did last week?
Yeah, there could still be a play in there, or what Yogi Berra used to say.
It ain't over till it's over.
That's right.
Until the fat lady sings. Well, you got a number of things to choose from.
I think his was "It ain't over till it's over." I think the other one was a basketball one. See Georgia Frontieri down there. Looks like she's taking a drink of Gatorade. She's trying to cool off down. All the players around her drinking. I think Georgia's down there taking a drink.
I think you're right. Touchdown, Randy Moss.
There's a touchdown now. That stops the clock. And then we'll get another onside kick try.
31 seconds left.
The Vikings are going to say we just got started too late. We should have, instead of that running and balance and all that stuff, when you have Randy Moss and Chris Carter out there, maybe we should have just came out and threw every play. Of course, the Rams weren't playing then the way they're playing now.
No, they weren't. They're going for two. Incomplete for Randy Moss, but a flag on the play. Allen was the defender.
Najee Allen, and you'll
Pass
see.
interference on the defense, number 20. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball will be placed at the 1-yard line.
Yeah, but it had to be his right hand. His left hand was in pretty good shape, and it had to be his right hand that had Randy Moss's back.
They go down, put it on the 1-yard line. They can still go for two and will still go for two.
Yeah, they will. And, of course, because this is the extra point, there is no time that will be run off the clock either.
Horde is behind Kleinsaucer.
You know, the Rams do an interesting thing here, Pat, on defense down here. They use 6 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, and only 1 defensive back. Todd Light right here is the only defensive back right here. The rest of them are 6 defensive linemen and 4 linebackers, 1 defensive back. And that's their normal goal line defense.
Horde's the deep back. George pointed to his left. They go right. They fake it right. Touchdown or extra point is incomplete. It was a 2-point attempt for Andrew Glover.
And now they're just going to prolong this thing. So now we got the 2 points don't count here, but we're going to have the onside kick try again. Oh, Frank Gans will be down there. He'll get that Ram group going again.
Mike Jones just raked it out of his hands.
Yeah, I think that should have been a 2-point conversion, though, because he had control of it. He came down, and because it's in the goal line, once you break the play and you have control and you come down with both feet, that should have been a touchdown.
Not a touchdown.
Well, 2 points.
2 points, right. I said the same thing. Well, what do you think about next week when the Buccaneers come here to play. The Buccaneers like that, or seem to like that slow down style.
Yeah, they like that, and they better be able to run the ball, which is going to be tough against this Ram defense. And I think somewhere in their offense, they're going to have to be ready to get in a shootout.
Well, they held eight teams to 10 points or less.
But I don't believe that the Rams are going to be one of those teams. I mean, they just have, and you know, that too many weapons. I mean, you hate to say that so much, but they do. And they, you know, and it's not only the weapons, but it's the speed of the weapons, and it's Kurt Warner playing the way he is now, and those things. They better, if they're going to beat the Rams, I think you better come in here and say you're going to score some points.
You look at that score, if they had made both of those 2-point conversions, now they could tie it with an onside kick and recover it.
And a touchdown.
Yeah. If the onside kick were successful, and if they made the touchdown. Anderson. And the Rams down it. Isaac Bruce takes it and just stays there. And they'll let the clock run now.
Now I think the crowd can start celebrating again. Did you notice about a half hour ago the crowd started celebrating, the Rams started celebrating, everyone started celebrating, and then the Vikings started throwing the ball all over the lot, and the whole place went quiet, and the Rams sideline kind of quieted down. But now I think they can say, you know, get into celebrations.
It qualifies as a shootout, Coach. Warner just kneels down, and that should do it. Time to shake hands.
Yep, the Rams were 8-0 in regular season here, and then playoffs are 1-0. So the Rams have been perfect in this stadium this year.
And Dick Vermeil named Coach of the Year as well. He should have been.
I bet Kurt Warner is MVP of the league.
As he should have been.
Well, he should be.
This NFL Films production has been brought to you by NFL Network. Watch the National Football League 24 hours a day on NFL Network.